Hey guys, welcome on into some Final Fantasy VI. This is going to be the Pixel Remaster version, and my commentator today is...
Hey, I'm Lion Musashi. I'll be providing commentary for Bdewd's Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster, all characters and Esper.
So, because we have to watch the whole opening cutscene shenanigans, so I may as well get started in 3, 2, 1, go. So unlike the Super Nintendo version, we do have to watch the entirety of the opening, which takes about 4.5 minutes, little shorter than that. The only way we're able to skip that in the Super Nintendo version is because you get to basically watch it, and then you hit New Game and it just ignores it.
I believe this is skippable in console. Is that correct?
Other way around. You can actually skip it with the resize glitch in... Oh, you might actually be able to skip it in console just without the resize glitch, I guess. I've never actually played the console version.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I know console has had quite a few additional perks and patches provided that we have not yet received on PC, so hard to say.
So one of the big differences you'll see in this run is, like they've been doing for a lot of RPGs these days, is you get an auto battle feature. Puts in your previous input of every character, and it also increases the battle speed by 50%, which means we basically try to use it as much as possible, because if you're not using auto battle, you're losing time. With that being said, sometimes if you use auto battle, you're losing time. So you have to mitigate it a little bit.
Yeah, the routing for this version has been pretty interesting, as a lot of it's been around how to properly auto battle as much as possible, and then how to properly auto battle where it doesn't end up with you just getting destroyed in certain boss fights.
The other thing that also makes it pretty interesting is in the Super Nintendo and GBA version, the bosses have a bit of a script where, like, you get the opener attack on turn 1, then you kind of get, like, something a little bit nastier on turn 2, then, like, turn 3, turn 4 is when, like, the bad stuff starts to happen. In this version, they just kind of open up with whatever they want. And so that starts to get very scary, and so you kind of just have to put a little bit of risk to the win there and kind of see what happens in some spots.
It's interesting because there's definitely a few fights where it seems like the scripts still work the same way. We'll see quite a few of those later on. But there's a couple specifically problem points in this run that we'll likely point out when we get there, when Bdewd gets there. That will be a little bit in the hands of Lady Luck more than we'd like them to be.
We've got our good luck Kupo or Moogle here, Kutan, gonna look after us over this run, hopefully.
Kutan is a feature player in several of the SNES version glitched runs. Not this one, unfortunately. So I guess really quick too. So for anyone who's not familiar with this category, because I don't think it's one of the most popular, and certainly not for PR. It's not been run a ton. This character, or this category, is all characters and Espers, which is exactly what it sounds like. By the end of the game, we have to acquire all 14 characters and all, I believe it is, 25 Espers. There are 26 total, but Odin turns into Raiden later on, so we can't obviously have both of them in the inventory at the same time. This category is also sometimes known as 100%, kind of in the same way that Chrono Trigger is. It's definitely a little bit different from a true 100%, as getting all the items, magic, levels, all of that would make this run so much longer. And there are not many people who are willing to do that, that kind of grind for 30 plus, 40 plus hours. So we won't be doing that today.
I did not realize we had rename functions, but I can actually keep track of it. So I'll try to remember that as we go through, hopefully. It's going to be a little tough because most of the time when you're renaming a character, you're just mashing the enter button, but I think I know how to do it. Renaming's not actually a thing I've done a lot of in this, actually.
I think we spend even less time in the naming menus in this version than we do in Super Nintendo, because you can just hold down
For
like the
sure.
enter key and in the A button, and it just basically instantly ends the game. So anyway, I will let Bdewd get to it as the intro is over. Gameplay will be starting.
Right, so we start off on very fast battle speed, very fast battle message, and then we want our memory cursors so that we can just kind of mash through a bunch of stuff. We want these guys to run away. However, they have different plans. Let's do that.
So run buffering in this game is really interesting. This is it's unlike pretty much any other Final Fantasy, except I think maybe 10. Characters run away individually in this game, so you don't run away as a party. So for these first few fights, we're going to be trying to get the two guards, Biggs and Wedge, to run away, so our nameless girl can get all the experience.
That one went a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a bit more normal. It's a little bit of a time loss if they don't run away between the first two turns, because you end up having to take a defend action, just to make sure that they go. Running has a tendency to get stuck in the midst of enemy queues, and PR ATB is a mess, so sometimes they don't cooperate.
They'll go.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of a cheeky auto battle. Oh, well.
It doesn't seem to like you this
We
time.
can we can fix this.
You kind of tend to have to let the queue, the enemy queue, play itself out in a menu. This fight in particular is really stupid in that regard.
That one was a little unfortunate because there is a like weird buffer thing where if you try to run and their menu hasn't popped up yet, then you just don't get your menu up for a very long time, and I was trying to get it for him, but then apparently he just decided to run.
Yeah. Funny enough, that fight actually has a no run flag in the Super Nintendo version, the mammoths do. So that's gone in this fight.
She's still on defend too.
Yeah.
Excellent. I would not have this any other way.
So that's basically the worst outcome. That might make this fight take another turn. There's maybe another 2 or 3 turns. It's
Gonna be a great many turns with this slow.
That's just very bad luck. So the goal here is to get 3 Magitech missiles on the Welk head, or the Emir's head. If you get bad damage rounding on them, sometimes it'll take another attack. So typically we'll have Biggs or Wedge cue a fire beam on the head. Probably once it comes back here, just, well, no, it'll be after the third one, but actually we will need it because we didn't get the level from the mammoth fight. I didn't think about that.
That was a thing.
You know, all things considered, that's still fine, I think, considering you lost the level up before the fight.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say, there's a very weird thing here too, where it will remember your memory until you cycle through something, and then it just defaults to attack. But when you're like me and you remember all of the memory, and then it changes what that memory is, that's usually when you get like all the extra like weird defense and attacks and whatever happens.
I know I still have problems in this first segment because you end up having to input several defend commands on Terra, and then you have to put in an attack command, obviously, to finish the fight. So you can't just let auto battle roll how you might like to in this first segment.
We'll probably end
Later
up having
on,
to take like 3 extra fights, I think. Just off of not getting that one fight, the 4-pack.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Ultimately, I think so. We had a rename incentive for Terra. It looks like. Just so that'll be coming up here soon. before I get into that.
I'm mashing B so I don't accidentally.
Yeah. So you'll have to bear with the dude for a moment just to do this.
We're learning.
They're quick. Yeah, we are. Again, I think the one time we may have done modifications to the names has been in the Final Fantasy Relay. But other than that, no, it's very uncommon. So.
Which you got to race in.
Oh yeah, that was a really exciting one. We got to show some pretty fun stuff for this game for the any percent category of Pixel Remaster. This year's Final Fantasy. It was a good time. This one's going to be fun because we get to show off some different parts of the game that often aren't seen in the speedruns. And why this run's popular.
Sick. And Lion here spent a lot of time doing a bunch of rerouting. And the route is actually quite a bit different from what the SNES is, which makes it pretty fun and interesting.
So I can take a little time to explain, because right now Bdewd's going to be grinding here for a little bit because of the fight that he missed. So most of these battles are just going to be fire. This one might not. This one might just be physicals on both because pincers are stupid and unfortunate.
Holy.
So yeah, this is going to be one of those kind of runs. One of the so this category. I think was probably popularized by Puexel on Super Nintendo quite a while back. And I think for a good bit of time, he was the only one who could run it. So a lot of the late game routing was originally done by him, I believe. So it's been kind of an amalgamation of that, of the any percent routing that was done by Bdewd, by Dainu Atari, a little bit by myself, and then by the Japanese runners for this game. Mujiha, Shigeru, and there's a couple others who have picked it up more recently, but I know those two have been involved in a lot of the routing for 80%. And then taking those bits and pieces and updating certain things for how PR mechanics work. I was doing a lot of modifications for the World of Ruin part specifically. And so what we've got right now, this run this route that Bdewd's running, is kind of a culmination of everything so far that we've put together, and there's still PR routing going on. I know Mujiha has been trying a new route. I know that there have been little bits and pieces here and there that we're trying to just optimize leveling. And there's level 6. That actually wasn't so bad. So it's been kind of cool to see the evolution of this version of the game because it's definitely different. But there's still been a little bit of community trying to put things together for it. Real quick, I will say that we have another character being named real close here. I think Locke is going to be named in the next 2 minutes. So
not even.
If anyone wants to, it's probably the next minute or so. So if anyone wants to get in for that, it'll have to soon. If not, that's fine. Just figured I'd mention it.
Thank goodness that we get Japanese MP. Because that grind was something amazing. So the Japanese I believe their version gets, from the SNES, gets 25% more MP than what we're used to with the NA version, but now they have it here, which is, it's pretty nice in a lot of spots.
Yeah, there's quite a few segments where it's going to be very, very helpful that we have it. Right there was good, because we ended up having to cast quite a few more fires than we normally would. The floating continent is a big one in that there are going to be a lot of spells casted that are very expensive. And there's a few other places for sure. But it'll be nice. So.
Nothing that I've seen?
No, I don't think we have a naming incentive for Locke. So if you want to name him something,
Mr. Disappointment.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll get a little bit more locked screen time than we like in this run, because every time he's around, he just lets us down.
So one thing that we don't have here that we do have in the NES, and I think a little, well, maybe not GB, I don't know too much about, but we don't have a step route here. So a lot of the trying to get experience and such here and there is, a lot of it is take what you can get. There is a lot of running in this as well, but you kind of have to just be a whole lot less picky since you don't really know what you're going to get or where you're going to get it.
Yeah, it is the biggest difference in a lot of regards between this version and the SNES. I think all of the Pixel remasters don't have any sort of step routing, just because how the RNG works, it's very different. So for this one, for 5, 4 specifically, those are all very heavily affected.
So this spot's a little bit janky. You don't want to hold the direction of the NPC that you ran into. You can actually trigger it again as it's disappearing, because it's still technically active. And you can get it like 3-4 times if you keep holding that direction, which I would very much not recommend, unless you want the experience, I suppose.
It's very odd why it works like it is. Not actually certain.
And so we unequip Mog off of everything we have. Cool. Will-O-Wisp. I'll take that.
Yep. That is one of the outcomes that instantly defeats the guard leader. So it's a good optimal fight. Really, really good.
I got Poisonous Frog yesterday. That's the rare one.
Yeah, that's the one in 16. That one's nice.
He has 4 attacks.
Yes.
3 of them do damage. One of them does fractional damage. That's Caven. And Caven doesn't hit Marshall at all.
Right.
But yeah, that's also the most common one, question mark?
Caven, I think Caven is slightly less than 50% chance, if I recall. I don't remember if it's the most common or the second most common, but it's the only outcome we don't want.
It's the most common when you run this.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Snare will instantly defeat the boss. It just causes instant death. And then Will-O-Wisp and Poison Frog both do more than enough damage to just kill him.
So much damage.
Yeah, they're a ton. For this point in the game, it's 4 digits, which is pretty absurd. There's a reason that we don't get Mog very early on.
I didn't check. I don't even know what level he is starting off.
I don't recall. He has 270 HP. He's a decent level. I imagine he would be like 11 or 12 based on how his leveling works.
Have you heard my diagonal theory on how it seems like you generate less threat when you're moving on diagonals?
That's interesting, and I could kind of see it being the case.
So what I usually do going into that castle is I try to kind of line it up so I know I can diagonal all across the entire desert, so I don't get those buckaroos that like to cast stop on me.
Yeah, that desert is a mess, because there are enemies in there that will just cast stop and waste so much time. Edgar, I don't believe, had a naming incentive. Sabin will also be being named here very quickly.
Yeah, I was just checking to make sure I wasn't missing nothing.
Yep, no, I think you're good. And then we'll have a little bit of a gap after Sabin, I believe.
Yeah, we're good for probably like 15-ish minutes at least.
Yeah.
So when this game first came out, it was heckin' bright. Like, heckin' bright. They since then have actually brought it down a bunch, but I think when we were playing it, we were taking time in the menus to knock it down to like 50% or something, because it was given. I know Dainu Atari was getting headaches playing it. He was like, I'm just gonna lose the time and just bump this down right now because this is just stupid.
Yeah, it was very bad. It was one of the first common complaints about the version. Well, the colors all just looked off. Everything was oversaturated and over contrasted, and it just looked really bad. Once they fixed it up, the colors look a lot more close to the original. I think overall they're just a lot better.
They also got rid of the clown shoes that everybody had.
That's true. The shading in general, the outlines, everything just became much cleaner. That was definitely one of the biggest complaints that we had off the bat.
So sometimes Square does listen. That's the moral of the story here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was that whole outcry about when they were showing off Final Fantasy VI coming out, and then Sabin suplexed the train, and the train didn't flip upside down.
Yeah.
There was a big stink about that. I think it was like a weekend, and then they like sent out another thing. Like, oh yeah, no, we got this fixed.
Yeah, I think that was the first major thing, and it's really telling for the fan base for this game, and I kind of appreciate it.
So Kefka's here just stirring up some trouble, looking for a girl that we totally don't have here. Totally not that one.
Edgar can't keep track of all the people in this castle.
There's got to be like at least 13.
Yeah, there's at least over 1,000. It's tough. It's got a lot of kingly duties to take care of.
You'll notice we're actually moving pretty quick right now, just as far as like overworld movement speed. We are given a sprint button right off the hop just by holding the B button. They get to move ×2 speed. They're thinking, well, that means we don't need sprint shoes, right? No. Sprint shoes stack. We can get ×4 speed. It means we're gonna be cruising here, there, and everywhere.
The movement speed kind of makes me happy that there's no step route in this game. Because it is hard to keep track of. It's hard to keep under control sometimes, just with how fast.
It's it's at a point where like I was incorporating bonks, so I could kind of keep movements from like going in and out of staircases and such.
Yep. There's bonking and there's a lot of diagonals that help smooth it out. But it's definitely one of the big learning curve things, especially if you come from a different version. Because it's hectic.
Now, luckily, if you're holding a diagonal, the game will, and say you can't actually move diagonally in a spot and you have to like go up, right, it will do that individually for you, so it kind of does some of that nicely. And you can incorporate that in a few spots, but other times it gets you into more trouble than it's worth. There's actually a few spots where I just take my finger off the sprint button, so I'm like, I'm just going to run into stuff.
No, I think that actually makes a lot of sense, because there's some where you just end up doing bad movement, and it just wastes more time than just kind of slowing down for just a second.
So the route between any percent and all characters and Espers doesn't really diverge until, I think it's still Atma weapon here.
Yeah, there's a couple of very minor optimizations that are done in the like 20 to 30 minutes before that segment.
Like not selling the earrings?
Like not selling the earrings. Yeah, there's a couple items we'll get. We'll get all 4 Espers from Zozo. And a couple other little things. We'll have the third quote-unquote boss coming up right now. Magitech armor. This is rather quick. Edgar just uses a couple of crossbows and we get out of here.
And then the game plays itself.
Yep.
Not a very tough boss. Kind of an introductory to how Edgar works, essentially.
There's also a cutscene we can get there if you cast fire on the Magitechs, which Dine is pointing out. Thank you, Dine. You should feel robbed. We really neglected to show that.
There was a point when that was unskippable.
It was mandatory. That's right. That was in the first run of the first run of the game as well.
It was like over half a year before that got taken out, I think.
Yeah.
That was one of the big reasons I was like, you know what? I'll give this run another go. That's like a free minute and something.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good quality of life changes made. There are definitely still a couple that we'd like to see. But the run overall, I think, has gotten a lot more enjoyable, a lot better to run since it's released. Part of that is probably that we've got a much more solid route now. Going off of the old Super Nintendo route, it was definitely a bit messy. There were things that just did not work the same way. Monster scripts, ATB changes, things like just big
level averaging was a big one.
Level averaging is a little bit different at times. There are things that'll happen that you don't expect to later on. So when you go to World of Ruin, and there's a couple other times where it kicks in and you don't expect it to. Gao does stupid things with level averaging that he doesn't do in Super Nintendo. Blind actually blinds. That's a good point. It's not a huge deal for most of the run, but I would say the first Ultros boss fight, it can be a problem. Because you typically want to use physical attacks with Edgar on Ultros 1, and it's entirely possible for him to get blinded in the fight before Ultros, where you have no way around. So you can either buy eye drops right before the river as a workaround. I know a couple of the runners do that. Or you can just roll with it. And
I just stick with the auto crossbow.
Or use the auto crossbow, that's right.
A little bit slower, but it's nice and consistent.
Yeah.
Kind of like doing this dive right now is a little bit slower, but I kind of a runner's choice. I don't think it's a huge difference here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But I like having the... Speaking of, I may as well equip the perks that I have.
Indeed.
Get some early running shoes and a hyper wrist so that we can actually do some decent damage. I thought I set her to attack.
Unfortunate.
And since Edgar's going to be doing most of the damage and he's relatively slow, having him have the running shoes basically lets you just auto battle through a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, the running shoes there, the Hermes sandals, were the reason that waffled on whether or not to go grab those items early or when we come back to South Figure the next time. Ultimately, the time it takes to get them more or less evens out in the time that you save in the fights, because Edgar's going a little bit faster.
I learned Hyperist actually kills the, or it can kill the Sangram dudes.
Yeah, you can get some decent rolls as long as you have it. Now that you've got both, but you've got Gigas Glove, you'll be more than good to go. Taking fights before we grab that can be a little iffy, just because sometimes that's an awkward pincer to get.
That is very awkward. It's fine.
It is a very uncommon one. Yeah, no problems though.
Game feels bad, but all the back attacks it was giving me.
Yeah, it's true. So one thing to note, the reason that Bdewd did the leveling with solo Terra before the Moogle segment to get her level 6 was so Locke and Edgar would join at the levels that did. So Locke joins at 7, I believe, and Edgar joins at 8. And then the goal on Mount Kolts is to get them to levels 10, 9, and 8 respectively for level averaging to kick in when we get Sabin. So he'll be at the level we want him as well. So without doing that, you end up losing out on levels on your characters who are joining, and it sets you back much, much further in terms of things you have to kill.
This is the beauty of just having running shoes. Edgar is... He doesn't normally... Oh, actually, hang on. A little bit spicy with this one. Gonna have Locke run away and it can save us from having to do an extra encounter. I was gonna say survey says.
Yeah. In the original routing, we always had him run away from a fight, just to make this grind quicker. It can be quicker or not, depending on what fights you get. Because the fights that you get in this spiral aren't guaranteed at all. The 4-packs give a lot of experience, these 2-pack trilliums give less. And they poison your characters, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, we're good.
So, yeah, those are the levels we need, so we don't need to take any more fights, which is pretty good. That's a pretty solid Mount Kolts overall.
That was alright. I missed the part when Locke got his level, but sure.
It's fine. He does need to be level 9, so...
Well, those are the last inputs that I'm going to be doing for this fight for quite some time.
Yep.
Interesting thing that pretty much all the Pixel Remastered, well, 4, 5, and 6 that I know of at least do is if you pick an option that can't be redone again, it will default to attack. So I did row, and then because the game doesn't want to row lock again, he just goes to attack, so I can just auto battle through all of that.
Yeah.
It's
there's small optimization.
Yeah. One spot where you're only stuck using magic, it defaults to defend, which is like the first time I think I've seen that. Just throughout all these pixel remasters, just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's pretty uncommon. So, our bodybuilder friend, Edgar's brother, has shown up. We need to have a muscle off with Vargas and Sabin.
Do I get the 2 attack?
Yeah. So there's a little oddity here, where anyone who's familiar with this game knows that we have to use the pummel command on Vargas to defeat him. So in this game it's called Raging Fist. But basically, the game wants you to use it, and then the boss will die. For whatever reason, you have to put in several different commands to make the boss actually prompt you to Raging Fist in this game. If you use it on the first turn, once Sabin appears, nothing happens. He just punches him. You have to do it again. So, in most cases, it'll take 3 turns. After the second turn, the cutscene will play, and then you use Raging Fist on the 3rd turn, and you win. Sometimes the cutscene will play after the first turn, and so you can use Raging Fist on the 2nd turn. We're still not really sure why that happens. There's been theories here and there. I'm not sure if you had come up with anything else more recently, but it seems to be kind of random.
I've seen people be playing around with like timing and Vargas attacks and stuff, but at the end of the day, I don't know. PR do what PR do.
Yeah, and ultimately there's going to be quite a bit of that in this run, where it's just PR doing what PR does. So
we call those PR moments. I have
and
found a couple of them in the past few days.
Oh yeah, there are more of them in 6 PR, I'd say, than any other PR.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that this is the only game where ATB is being generated while animations are going off.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the engine just can't handle it properly. Because there'll also be times where everyone will be queued up for something and the game will just sit there for a couple of seconds. It's like it's trying to figure out, okay, a lot of stuff is happening right now. Who actually goes? So then there'll just be times when you just kind of have a nice little stare off.
Yeah.
And usually people are yelling, "Can I go now, please?"
You actually end up seeing, I would say, quite a bit more defending from characters in this version of the game, just so the queue doesn't get clogged up with more attacks. And while it may end up taking more turns to finish a fight, it will take less actual time.
Because auto battle go brr, 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 brr.
Yeah, it certainly does. So it's just weird oddities like that, though. Again, it's that optimization of auto battle and how it functions, combined with Final Fantasy VI's notoriously broken systems. It makes for a really unique experience.
And just know that there's a piece of paper there. I'm just gonna leave it there. If you don't know what to do with it, we're just gonna,
Yeah, I'm sure it's there for a reason.
I left it there because that's how I found it. It's also one of my funniest Easter eggs.
You wouldn't want someone going up to a piece of paper on your table and just throwing it away, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I haven't missed any renames or anything coming up, correct?
No, we have renames so far for Terra, which has been done, and then Celis and Mog.
He's throwing away the piece of paper!
Who threw this here?
He was mad about it too.
He shouldn't leave his papers lying around then.
So typically in SNES version, we say no to him 3 times, we get the Genji glove, and away we go. The Genji glove doesn't actually function properly in the Super Nintendo version. It's supposed to be, you get to equip 2 weapons, 75% damage on both, but you actually get 100%. They fixed it in this version. And so there's been a lot of going back and forth, but I think we eventually all kind of went, the gauntlet just ends up being better of a weapon that you have in 2 hands, and it does twice as much damage. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, that's correct. So the formulas for both of them were kind of broken. Super. And they fixed both of them properly in this version. So it's kind of a pick 'em, but having the gauntlet is just kind of more convenient for the couple of times that we'll use the fight command in boss fights. So Edgar will get it a couple of times, and the couple of times you use it on him, it's just more useful.
So here we're going to try and get Edgar and Sabin to level 12. And we can't manipulate how many encounters we get on here, so we just kind of... I think there's a total of 9 possible.
It's up to 9, that's right.
And so it's just kind of random. There are ones that you're guaranteed to get, ones that you're not guaranteed to get.
Yeah. This is a pretty common manipulation point, no matter what version of the Super Nintendo run you're doing, because you can manipulate it so you're forced to take 2 hours. In this version, as Bdewd said, there can be up to 9, and if we get them or not just depends on how the game feels. More often than not, we get them all, but sometimes you'll skip 1 or 2 here and there. And it's not usually a big deal, but it does make it pretty important that we try to funnel the experience just to Edgar and Sabin.
I honestly have no idea where any of them are, so I'm just like, okay, I get this one. Okay, I get this one. And then you'd be like, oh, look, I saved 30 seconds somehow. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. This split becomes a little bit swingy when you're doing a PB attempt, just because of that.
I'm not going to worry about healing until we get to our little platform of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can just have Terra go ahead and do it.
There's there's the heal bucket in this version too. You get the bucket at the second save point, I believe. I don't recall if there's not the first.
Honestly, I left Sabin here just to soak up some damage.
Yep. No, that makes sense to me.
And
sometimes
Edgar's, those guys give so much experience.
They give a ton. They really do. So that's 12, and then Sabin will be 12 for probably in the next fight. So you can do quick heal here, just get everyone back to full.
And Terra's MP doesn't really matter. She's not going to do much.
Nope.
So these fights aren't worth a lot, which is why we just leave everyone here. Usually an auto crossbow and fire, especially after the level up. Hey, they're both 12. That's good.
Yeah.
The 12
Yep,
Sabin
that's
for the
exactly
next segment is actually pretty vital. More than I thought it was going to be.
It is important. And hopefully today you can actually use the strat that makes it, or that, I guess it helps out.
Maybe the game will actually let me have it.
Yeah. You've had some bad luck with that as of late. We'll talk about that.
Yes. And I don't want you to get nuked. Yeah. So there's not going to be a lot of saving going on. There's a few spots where there will be, but we have autosave, which it basically autosaves like every screen transition.
Yeah, so it's very generous.
Actually, just going to let this all go through. Maybe get a little bit of a stronger Bannon for today.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
A little extra survivability.
Yep. He probably will level off of that one, right? Yeah, good. So having him at level 6 with 120 HP is a bit scary, because it means that he can just die in the Ultros fight far easier than he can if he has the extra level. It's actually been a very, very good river overall.
Yeah, I can't complain. So I still do this strat where there's a little bit of ATB waiting. We try to not have Ultros. It's a little bit of a safer fight too. Try not have Ultros do too much. But we kind of also just kind of throw it to the wind at the end as well.
Yeah.
You see, like, while he's doing stuff, you may as well get some ATB during that bit.
Yep, he has a couple of times when he's just going to sit here and talk for a while. Tentacle. He'll do a couple more of those as we go.
Seems like usually when I throw the heal in about there, be all right. And the tentacle attack does care about. No, we'll just roll through. Does care about row. Okay, good.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty important to make sure everyone's in the background here.
The
you get
the scariest thing about it is if you get party-wide tentacle into Bannon getting tentacled, that's kind of just GG's for the most part.
Yeah, so it's one of the reasons that that was ultimately a good fight. One of the reasons that doing prey spam is a little bit risky, because if he's defending, he can still survive the double tentacle sometimes. Usually he'll live with about 20 HP. If he is using prey, he won't have any additional guard, so he'll just die.
But
if that happens, it's bad.
Like every run, we go to Sabin scenario.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite scenario.
So in the Japanese route of any percent glitchless Super Nintendo, we do not do Sabin scenario first. I don't recall if we do it second, third, but it's not first. But every other route in this game, every Sabin. There's a specific reason for that.
Yeah, which you don't get till the end of the scenario, but it's too good of a perk.
Yeah.
So we are coming up to another character possibly to be named in about a minute. And it is our favorite mustache man. The reason everybody loves this scenario so much is it's just so swingy in like every version, just because we don't have a means of getting away quickly, so you have to manually run away. Then there's trying to find another character, which is RNG. And then there's the amount of pincers and stuff that can happen, that's the RNG. And then we have like a trench later on, which can maybe make or break you. It's just... we're not going to have the pipes for today. We're just going to let people enjoy this beautiful redone OST.
Cyan's theme in this version is gorgeous. Also, it plays a lot less of it, I think, because of the text box that's going fast.
Yeah, you pretty much finish the song by the time you're done your menu. It gave me the 7/8 drop. I am so lucky.
What are the odds?
So there's a 7/8 drop of a black belt, which we can actually abuse in this section. In my past 2 runs, it has given me the 1/8 drop of a Phoenix Down, which loses us money, loses us time, and really doesn't do much for us.
No, it's one of several boss drops where the common drop is much better than the rare drop, where the common steal is much better than the rare steal. There's a few of those that we'll see. When you get the Phoenix down here, you just kind of cry and move on with your life.
But now I get to do the cool strat.
And you miss out on an interesting strat.
So the black belt apparently has like a 75% counterattack chance, which is pretty heckin' high. Now, we're gonna be having a solo Sabin because we straight up bypassed a character. And he's going to be... we want to try and get through stuff as fast as possible. We don't really want a lot of animations. And he's relatively beefy. So we can kind of abuse both of those things at the same time.
Him getting to level 12 is fairly important for this segment, because if you try doing this with Sabin at level 11, it gets very shaky.
The diciness goes very much high.
Yeah, he gets beat up and he doesn't necessarily kill the enemies in one. So, or 2 hits, as it were.
So we're gonna slap that bad boy on, put him to the front row. And I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a top up. And to let the attacks commence. He does have a pretty high evasion as well.
So we've noticed some odd behavior in regards to this black belt, and I think you may have unfortunately gotten it.
All right.
Oh no, there it goes. That's a good crit actually. Wow, 2 crits in one fight. That's impressive. Okay, that's a pretty good fight ultimately. You got 2 good counterattacks, I think.
Yep. So,
for whatever reason, the behavior of that segment often is you either counter every hit you take or you counter none of them. This one was a true 50-50, I think. So, that's fine. We'll take that.
there is like, yeah, there's this weird oddity where if he has full ETB and then he counters, instead of getting counter canceled where you basically do nothing, he kind of just starts freaking out, just starts attacking people like at a whim.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful to see. It's very confusing the first couple of times. Yeah. And I'm like, I kind of want this to happen just so I can watch him just destroy everything.
It's great, and I wish there was more application for it during the run. At the very least, we get to use that in this segment, where we usually don't use it at all. We usually just get it and sell it.
It is good money. It's 2,500.
Yeah.
Which I think is like almost a quarter of what we actually end up having.
It's 10 times more than the rare drop, I believe. If you get the Phoenix down, you'll still probably sell it, but you'll just be upset that you didn't get near as much as you wanted.
You're gonna be confused what to do with all those smoke bombs now.
Right? You'll have the normal amount. Don't spend it all in one place. Or do.
Oh, we will. I have very bad spending habits in this run. Go till broke. I think it says that in the notes like 3 times.
There are several places where we just empty the wallet. So, someone indeed poisoned the water hole. Cyan's typical diet of alcohol means that he was not affected by the poison water hole. However, his family unfortunately was. And pretty much the rest. So, he will now be seeking great vengeance for his people and his family.
And we're just here for a good time.
Hopefully he won't waste too much time in these fights.
He will either do a bang or dispatch, which loses a little bit of time. With auto battle, it's not as bad, but lose a little bit of time off that versus just doing a regular attack. Oh, I think we got the, yeah, that's the Sabin thing we were talking about. He definitely did not get hit twice. He also only gets 1 turn, but he still did 3 attacks.
Yeah, he's just gone. So that is the that's the nice thing there sometimes. It's like I think it's if he gets hit and the ATB is full, it guarantees a counter every time he goes, or every time he gets attacked before. That was fortunate.
That was some fast math. I wasn't sure if that was going to kill or not.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Sometimes we wait until the other guard is dead before firing that, but sometimes you just hope the RNG gods are in your favor, and they are.
Auto battle is the cause of and solution to all of our problems.
Yeah. Yes. Heavy doses at every turn. So, Cyan can also counterattack during this during that segment. He can't counterattack now that he's officially in the party. But that can be a nice little perk that happens. Those fights tend to go pretty quick, but if you get very unlucky, they'll drag a little bit.
Well, that helps me with my decision of just throwing a potion on him.
Yeah.
And I got a free one. Yeah.
Sometimes the game makes that decision for you.
Cool. Okay, this is actually really funny to watch because Sabin straight up just does not hit these dudes.
No.
But it says he does.
He just goes right past them.
He definitely hit Cyan way more than he hit the other dude.
Yeah.
Cool.
Close. So oddly enough for these fights, I feel like, I don't know if it's supposed to be this way, but I feel like they're always some sort of special encounter. Either they're preempts, pincers, not pincers, preempts, side attacks, or back attacks, yeah. Don't know why that is, but there's an incredibly high rate of them happening this segment. That last fight is almost always either a back attack or a side attack.
That might just be this whole run.
Yeah, the back attacks and the side attacks tend to rear their ugly heads when you don't want them.
So, ideally, you're kind of better off having a dead Cyan here. Actually, ideally, you want a stone Cyan.
Mm-hmm.
But, so running away works a little bit differently in this, in the sense that in the SNES, there is a hidden run meter that you try to fill up, and then once you have ATB, you just run. This version seems like they don't really have a run meter at all. You just kind of run when you're available to, and if they feel like it. Now, you can't run during enemy attacks, and while enemies are attacking, they're filling up ATB, so when you have like a pack of 3, 4, 5 enemies, if you just hold run, you're never going to run because you're just going to get into a beautiful cycle of them just attack, 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 attack. So you'll see us go kind of into the menu in and out a couple of times, just try and get that little bit of a buffer.
I think some of it has to do with the battle speed as well. So because we're on very fast, the ATB for everybody fills much quicker. But the run flag, the run detection does not change. So ultimately, you're just kind of waiting there, unless you go into a menu and empty the queue, where you're waiting for a moment that will never come. Right. So exactly like, so Bdewd, goes to the menu and waits for the attacks to fire and then run.
I'm actually going to try and kill Cyan here. That actually worked phenomenally well.
That's really good. Wow. Yeah, he did just enough. You got just enough attacks on. Yeah, that's very, very awesome.
I was just kind of hoping for like a gravity or two right off the hop, and then we go from there.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the 2 attacks and the gravity in the middle, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, as mentioned, running away as one person is typically much easier. The only real fear we have is if we get in a fight with a bomb, a solo bomb, on the way to the end of the train, and we get, typically it's when we get back attacked by it, it can cast Blaze, and solo Blaze will just kill you. And, you know, with autosave, it's not the end of the world. But it can be a tiny bit risky, but it does make everything much, much faster as long as we don't run into it.
And blazes typically are slow, but also on very fast. That doesn't always matter.
Yeah. Yeah, there are times when we'll get back attacked and an enemy just won't get a turn before we can run. Like, it's peculiar. ATB is just really a mess in this version of the game.
It's tough to visualize.
Yeah.
'Cause I know when I run SNES a lot, I mean, I can't actually see the ATBs, and I can pretend like I know where they are, but I feel like I have a pretty good idea on where they are, and a lot of the time here, I'm like, I have no idea. I just assume that they're always full.
I think for safety's sake, that's a good assumption to make. It's not the case, obviously, but if you go into everything with that, like, in your head, you'll typically do things safer.
A little smack and then dips out.
Yeah, that's that black belt. Thanks for that.
We can, like, stop giving the 4 Angel Whispers. Just a suggestion. Oh, okay, fair enough. This is why I like having the dead Cyan, though, because the Hermes Sandals, Sabin gets very quick ATB.
Yeah. This is actually one of the perks, I would say, of the Hermes sandals. Oops. Is having too.
To think it through. There you go, guys.
We make the crowd happy. And
almost died for it.
I was gonna say, hope you don't get Saint Beamed.
Oh, I was thinking just Acid Rain.
Double. Oh, Acid Rain, yeah, Acid Rain. But double wheels, not great. But send the people home happy. So yeah, good train too. Honestly, not too bad at all.
Not terrible. The split itself was good.
Yeah. Again, being able to off Cyan early and then not having any real drama after that is really what you're looking for.
There's one enemy that uses, I think it's called Dread or Dread Gaze in this, and that just petrifies someone, and when they throw that on Cyan and Sabin just dips right out, you're like, oh, we're living life, because now in case some enemies do get attacks, petrified enemies and all the PRs are targetable as well, so they'll just take 0 damage for it, and you're like, sick, away we go.
Great. Yeah, that's a strat that gets abused in one PR at the very least, quite a bit. Is the old petrified character. So it's not something we ever really messed with in 6, but seeing as it works like that, it's, you know, a happy side effect of that happening.
I can't believe we made it through that whole train. I guess I was gonna say, and didn't see any passengers. I guess these guys are the only passengers too, aren't they? Where is all of Doma? You'd think like all of Doma would be there.
There was a line of people.
I guess there's a line. Doma must have just been empty that day.
You know, Doma has as many people as Figaro. It's like at least a dozen.
Hugely populated world we have here. So in this version, we don't have to wait for Cyan to feel bad or anything. We can just tell him to get over and we move.
Cyan, buddy, it's okay. We got things. Like jump off a waterfall.
Only the most logical of conclusions here. Waterfall here. Well, where's it go? Probably here. I may as well jump.
It goes down.
We do have to wait for result pass to show up. However, we can circumvent that a little bit with our dear friend Auto Battle. Instead of having to wait like a minute, 10 seconds, it's like 20, 25-ish. I basically just look at the amount of defense that Cyan does. Go on the next one here.
I've had consistency issues with this, so I'm glad you found a method that works.
That was gonna happen.
So that was perfect.
It took away my Sabin option partway through, and I forgot about that, and
that's awkward.
Away we went. There you go. He shows up.
That's a optimal waterfall too. So if you kill off the last piranha too early, you'll just get more piranhas to spawn, and then you'll have to kill those two, and then the boss will show up. It's based on actual time, but as mentioned, auto battle now.
Actual time, but we can just make actual time actually go faster.
Go faster, yeah. A wild child has appeared. It's running off.
Everybody's favorite.
Wow.
I guess another thing I haven't really mentioned is the encounter rate seems to be quite a bit dropped in this version. which is nice in a lot of spots. Because you don't typically make it across the Veldt with no encounters, but in this version, it's like, oh man, I got an encounter before Mobliz? That's kind of lame.
Yeah, optimally, you want to get to the town with no encounters. It definitely isn't guaranteed by any. It's 50-50 shot, I'd say. But getting there means you're more likely to get an encounter right when you leave, which is basically what happens, and hopefully get Gao immediately.
5/8 chance.
Yep. So this is a common time loss point, unfortunately. We're just not feeling shit.
Now, luckily, you can auto battle through this until Buddy pops up, and it won't use up your turn, which is nice. A little bit of a time save, but there he is. Second try.
Yep. Yeah.
Luckily, they gave me easy encounters.
Yeah, you got really good ones. Oftentimes during this segment, we'll get the guard leader boss showing up, the one that we had to kill with Mog earlier, and we don't have dance, obviously, so
usually attack a couple
taking
times.
A bit of time, and yeah.
The best part about them both being just 2 enemy encounters is it's a 1-turn fight and away we go. Whereas with that one, it's a 3. Pretty sure Orbital consistently kills the guard leader though.
Yeah, if you've got the earring and everything, it should. But you do still have to kill off the wolves first. It's just a.
I guess the big time save, like we've talked about auto battle a lot, that's a pretty obvious time save throughout the run over the SNES, is we also have the 4x speed, that gets you from point A to point B quite a bit quicker, but we also have instant text. This is usually one that's overlooked a little bit, but not having text scroll and having these text boxes pop up and down as fast as they do saves so much time over a 5-hour run. Well, I guess it's
huge.
Was it 414 now in any percent?
It might be down below that.
Oh, it's 411 now.
Yeah.
It is almost an hour faster than.
Yeah, it is significantly quicker.
And you have time losses like all the encounters on the Leet River, which you can't skip and you can in SNES. Yeah. All the manipulations for this, that, or whatever else that you don't have, and so you just kind of have to just go with it. No step route, so you just get what you get, but still overcomes it by that much, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, the game pace is just much quicker in this version. Auto battle is a heck of a drug.
We're also going to take a bit of a different divergence in this trench. It gets us 1 less encounter, but we have to go through an extra area, but it gets us an item that we want, which is the green beret, which raises our HP, which is going to be nice because we get hit a lot more in this.
Yes, we do. And we'll see here in just a moment, the actual movement speed in the trench, with all of the rest of the movement speed in this game being much faster, the trench movement speed is actually slower. So the less time that we can be transitioning screens and moving around the trench, the better, which is part of the reason that we take the side path as well.
A lot of the movements that you can't control are a lot slower, which is weird. Like the NPCs moving at the beginning move a lot slower, and that's why we just fight them. Riding along on the raft goes quite a bit slower. Going through the trench is a bit slower.
So ultimately, same concerns apply as the trench always does. The solo Anguiform is very scary. Anything else, we just kind of run from as we can.
Okay, we're all done? Okay.
Yeah. Solo Anguiform is typically only the first fight, and depending on if you get back attacked or something, if it gets a turn, it can cast Aqua Rake when it's alone, and it can just instantly wipe your party. Nothing else out here is particularly scary unless you have bad luck running away.
If you manage to get Exocyte on, he absorbs Aqua Rake.
I didn't know that, actually. That's really good.
I didn't know that until I panicked and threw it on there really quick, and then he absorbed it. I'm like, makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely times where your ATB, if you get the solo angle form, your ATB can be kind of weird. And if Gao is the first one to go, I don't hate that as a safety, that's for sure.
Just requires Gao to have good ATB, the angle form to have bad ATB, and you know, you don't want it to happen.
No,
You
crazier
prefer he
things have
just
happened.
dies.
So we'll be taking this route to the right here as well. Grab those couple of items.
I actually let off of run there just so that I could actually get this menu up. Otherwise, if I just kept on holding it, I wouldn't have gotten it, and maybe would have got attacked 4 times instead of 2.
Yeah. Double Aqua form is not scary. They won't cast Aquaric unless they're alone. Aqua Breath, I believe it is in this version. Apologies. Either way, it hurts. Painful water damage.
Even at full HP, there's a chance it can just party wipe.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There's a green beret.
Yep. That'll be used pretty much throughout the run. Different points. That little HP boost goes a very long way.
Do you remember what the percentage of it is?
The green beret is 1/8.
Okay.
So 12.5%.
Okay, I was close. I was gonna say 10%.
Yep.
But 1/8 sounds a lot more like a FF6 number.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is 1/8. And then the red cap, which we'll see in the World of Ruin, is 1/4. And both of those will be used pretty literally. So all the money we've got, selling off a few things just to get more of it. It's that black belt. We can load up on smoke bomb. That is a lot of smoke bombs. That's pretty good. 38 is typically the magic number we want to shoot for.
I think I only got 1 Megas. Oh, Kidoki. Still more smoke bombs than I'm used to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've got quite a few.
Going through, I'm like, I don't think I pushed right on one of those. Silk Robe also used because it raises our magic power. This run is very much built around magic power because magic is just way too good in this game.
Yeah. That is a Final Fantasy VI mainstay where magic in general is uber powerful. Almost every really strong ability in this game is based on magic power. So it's the end of Sabin scenario. We'll head down the raft with Terra and the crew. This is typically not very dangerous. One thing to note here is you still have the rule that if Banon dies, you get a game over. And if you get really unlucky, those wyverns, these lesser Lopros, can crit Banon here and just kill him. And so you could technically game over in this segment if you have really, really bad luck.
And it forces you to take all 3 encounters. So I've never seen someone not get all 3.
No. From the best of my knowledge, they're forced in this version.
I like to put Banon on the screen for this because watching Banon go at ×4 speed is humorous to me. Old man is cruising.
Yeah, I didn't know he could go that fast, to be honest. He's very excited to go see an Esper.
Because, like, we need to go now. This is where holding a lot of the diagonals actually kind of helps a bit because I cannot do inputs like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, this is an area where I don't sprint at all. If you go down the wrong path a little bit, then you have to do an extra deal with the little sparkly, which is another thing that moves quite a bit slower than in previous versions, which threw everybody off at first, but it is kind of nice.
It's kind of nice. There is also a little bit of a change in this version where if you held down the A button in the Super Nintendo version of the game, as long as you were facing north, you would just hold A. The moment that light popped up, it would go away. It would automatically hit it at the right spot. That no longer works, so you actually do have to time the button press properly in this version.
We are purposely not grabbing these treasure chests because there's a bit of a level up feature with them. The first time we come through here, it's a sleeping bag and I don't remember what the other thing is. Something kind of useless.
Ether or something.
Yeah.
It's not super.
But if we wait until much later on in the game, it becomes very useful things that we can use. So we're just gonna leave them for now. We'll come back to them again in like 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah, we'll be back here eventually. Couple places where that happens.
And we just did an unequip on Terra and Edgar because they have some gear that I very much would like.
Yeah. So PR is kind of nice in that later on in the game you have access to everyone's active gear at the same time. So if you go into the menu and you cycle through your characters, you can unequip and equip people that aren't even in your party. At this point of the game, you can't do that. So if you forget to unequip Terra and Edgar there, all of their gear is locked until lock scenario is over. So if they had anything he needs, yeah.
Somebody may have forgot to take off the Hermes shoes, though. That's what I was sitting there, I'm like, something I didn't do.
Yep.
Not that that's the hugest of deals. However, this is some of the hugest. There you go.
3 times. So that. It's a little less than a 50% chance to succeed in that steal. I think it's like 47%. So I'd say around 2 tries is average. 3 is fine. We've had attempts on that have been up to like 7 or 8, I believe, if you get really unlucky. So that's
yeah, the most I've had that are bad is more in the SNES version, which I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse because you lose so much more time in that.
It's
you don't get to
much
auto-battle.
more time. The little Deb bridge is still there, so we can still bypass having to get the other soldier's outfit and pass through a few of the other checkpoints.
How much HP do those guys have? Because I thought it was 120.
I want to say it's like 117 or 118.
117 I know doesn't kill.
It's 118 then.
Okay. I saw 119 there and I'm like, oh man, he didn't die.
I think 117 is the bad roll.
Yeah.
We'll just ignore the fact that Locke just murdered a merchant for his cider, by the way.
He's fine.
I'm sure.
He's in a better place now. Not in South Pagaro.
I mean, that's fair.
Just forget about that room.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about how many runs of this game overall I've done. I always forget about that room.
Not enough, clearly. Pop in, grab a little elixir here. As you've probably seen, most clocks in this game tend to have elixirs in them. It's not all of them. Quite a few of them do.
I don't know who's putting them there, but God bless them.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, but they're convenient. So we would be grabbing the Hermes, the Hermes sandals and the Hyperis now if we hadn't gotten them earlier. But Bdewd got them. He was here the first time, so we'll skip that. Okay, Celis does have a name. Celis is going to be named Lawson.
I'm so happy I remembered.
Yes, excellent.
For the total of 69,420 points.
Fantastic. I don't have enough to claim, or else I would take a name next time. I believe about half of the names, give or take, are done now. I know we have Mog has been claimed, but the remaining characters who have not are Setzer, Shadow, Realm, Strago, Gogo.
Mog is taken. Yeah.
Gogo Yamaro. Yeah. So those 6 are available.
One nice thing that I like that they add here is you can change whoever you want to be the viewable character without changing your party around.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't have to look at the disappointment that Locke is.
I honestly totally. It's probably the worst part of this segment.
Trying to get through that room.
Mm-hmm. This room is that room is very annoying at 4x speed. There's some assorted stuff in this basement that we'll mostly skip. For casual playthroughs, there's a ribbon down here that's extremely nice to have, and then a couple of other things. Ultimately, we just need to get out of here. Earrings are extremely powerful just because of how good magic is in this game.
And having 2 earrings stacks it from 25% damage output to 50% extra damage output. Same thing with a hero ring and an earring. However, a hero ring and an Atlas armlet only still do 25% on the strength, which is... I don't know why they decided on that.
Yeah, it's peculiar that the magic can double stack and the physical can't. Probably would have helped even out the usefulness of the two a little bit more. But is what it is. We work with what we've got.
Sometimes I open up the menu because I anticipate an encounter. Especially if I bonk, I'm like, oh, encounter time, and then I hear the blip, I'm like, oh no, wait, no, that's just me. So talking about chest leveling up, that was not a Thunder Rod before, but now it's a Thunder Rod, and we're going to be holding on to that for quite some time. Yeah.
In older routes of this, and in routes in other categories, Super Nintendo and other such things, sometimes we use that Thunder Rod in this boss fight. So, that gauntlet that we got is going to be very useful here, actually. Gauntlet, Runeblade, Celis does a lot of damage.
Uses MP to guarantee a crit. Okie dokie. He's feeling spicy today.
Double attack, counter. That's good. Oh, you got no spells. Like, that's actually pretty ideal. No spells, no drill. And yeah, Celis did almost 600 with the first attack. That's an extremely high roll.
Considering that we're level...
She's 12.
12, yeah, I was gonna say 12. 12 seems like the right number.
I think everyone should be 12 now.
Now we've gotten everybody back to Narsh. And you'd think this would be the end of the game.
Yeah. Not quite. This is another instance where the text box speed is extremely noticeable.
It's quick enough that you start to like second guess where your P breaks can be.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hang on, this is going pretty quick.
They're not the same places you would think, but they. The Mazda is still good. So if you were running the old popular Kefka and Narsh category, this would be just about the end. I don't think anyone runs that category in PR, and honestly, it's gotten a little bit less popular over the past couple of years for Super Nintendo.
That's because this is when we usually say this is when the run starts. Yeah. We have done the intro, now we get to play the game.
Yeah, now that we have the smoke bombs from the end of Sabin scenario, there's a lot less RNG time swings just from random encounters, because you can just smoke bomb out of anything. No random encounters in this game have a no run flag. That was not always the case, but they've been removed. So you can just leave from fights.
Some fights that were super scary. All of a sudden you're like, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah. A couple that are still really scary for different reasons.
So we're gonna pick up a magical dream team here. There's a lot of hope and pray in this fight, actually.
Yeah.
And this game likes to default on the answers that you don't want. They can't just mash through on it.
Yes. You used to be able to just hold turbo A for hitting yes on so many of these boxes, and so many of them default to no now. By the way, for Final Fantasy VI PR, and I think most PRs, but this one at least, Turbo is allowed. Turbo is allowed in Final Fantasy VI everything. So, go crazy. We'll be avoiding all the random encounters here, or not random. I guess they're they're visible, but we'll be avoiding all of the parts.
So we move crazy fast, and these guys move crazy slow. And NPC hit detection is kind of bad, which is very abusable.
Just gonna do a little shifty maneuver, and there we go.
But Kefka has pretty good physical evasion. That being said, we're going to try and use a lot of physicals. I had a lot of misses yesterday.
It is one of the other things. Yeah, it's one of the things that got impacted when the blind evade changes happened as well. Because in this fight before, you couldn't miss ever. Like physicals would never miss.
I think that was
and
a
now,
kill.
Yeah, you got some good attacks. The chomp crit, I think, from the beginning got you.
Wait, was there a chomp crit?
Or the chomp
Okay.
hit. I'm sorry, not chomp crit, no. But the fact that he actually used chomp.
Yeah.
As opposed to just physical.
So the reason we picked Silver Lobos there is we found out some abilities can crit when they're not supposed to crit, which makes things very spicy. So Chomp is one of them, where typically you just do 300 damage, and then we saw Chomp just do 600 the one time with a little flash, and we're like, hang on, that's not supposed to happen, but it happens in this version. Dispatch can crit.
Yeah, so it's probably one of the changes that I think we still don't know if it was intentional. But one of the nice things about physical damage in this version of the game is that pretty much any physical damage source or physical damage attack can crit, as far as I'm aware. That includes Gao Rage, it includes Cyan Sword Tech, it includes offering Master Scroll attacks.
I feel like I haven't seen a pummel crit though.
It can crit. It absolutely can.
Okay, cool.
Yep, we've seen it. We've seen it happen on Ifrit, I think, when we used to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it can definitely happen. So any physical attack, I believe, in this version can crit, which would imply that Suplex can crit.
Sick. We have I can't the say throw crits have happened a lot to me in the Tears fight in the past 2 days. And it puts out some dummy damage.
Yeah, throw crits are fun.
Someone just felt like, just throw harder, bro. So we saved the Esper from Kefka. We brought Terra over there because that was our whole plan, and she turned into an Esper and flew away. Whoops. Mission failed successfully, kind of.
Something like that.
And now she's gonna be all the way over there. Now the mission is go and find her.
She's long gone. Probably get her back. So we'll put together our all-star team again and head out.
This game throws in like full heals and stuff in different places than the SNES does. Because right now in the SNES you'd be worried a little bit about Celeste's MP because of the Rune Edge attacks. But here she just gets a full MP heal. And with the fact that she has the Japanese MP on top of that, we're chilling.
Yeah, it's never an issue at all in this run.
I very rarely think about MP in this run.
No. It's almost never a concern. The only times that I think you need to are Floating Continent. And then probably in Kefka's Tower at one point. That's really
pretty much, yep.
Another clock elixir.
Few goodies to pick up here. Now that we've saved the mines, we're like, take our stuff. And it's like, alright stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple really useful things we get in there. A couple things that we'll just turn around and immediately sell. Overall, it's nice. Nice to have.
I need the diagonals.
It's very impressive to do that walk twice and never get an encounter.
Yeah, I was full on expecting that one. So we're gonna get two very good tools because they're just good, but we're also getting pretty early as well with the drill and the flash. I'll let you talk about it while I not mess up this menu.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, these two items are really what makes Edgar, in pretty much any playthrough you're doing for this game, makes Edgar an extremely potent party member for this segment and the following. So Drill is just non-elemental physical piercing damage, and Flash is a AoE non-elemental magic damage that I believe was also piercing, and they're both just really invaluable as free resources once you buy them. Like no MP cost, no restrictions on them. You just spam Drill and Flash throughout the next, I don't know, hour of the game, and they'll be vital for progression.
And for those of you who think that the chainsaw is better than the drill, I did the math on it. And for every 4 attacks, if you have 1 instant death attack and it doesn't hit, you have just done drill damage and you have wasted a turn.
True.
And you have a 25% chance for it to proc. I was getting ready for my tools video script going today, and I looked into it.
Chainsaw is kind of a meme. Chainsaw is fun. It's enjoyable. It's fun to see him swinging around with the hockey mask and all that. But in a run like this, and where it's like the practicality is not as good because of that instant death chance and because of so many things resisting it, it actually is just inferior.
And losing
There's almost
a turn
no bosses.
Losing a turn is so detrimental.
Almost no bosses where you can actually efficiently use it, and so just making sure the drill hits every time is going to be better overall.
Now we're going to everybody's favorite town, Zozo. Only the most honest of people. And if you guys don't like this song, I totally understand it. I don't know what they were thinking with this. This is one of the few songs that like flopped. A little bit weird doing the movement this way too, because all I look at here is I'm just looking at the map. I'm not looking at where my character is. As proof is there.
Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to let everyone enjoy the amazing rendition of Techno de Chocobo that has been provided to us.
I'm used to talking over it the entire time.
It's truly awful, and I am sorry you had to hear it. For as gorgeous as a lot of this soundtrack has been remastered, that one is very much a dud.
Don't do it. Okay. This is the only encounter I don't like.
Yeah.
She can cast, when she's alone, she will cast a tier 2 spell. She can do single or party-wide. If she does party-wide, we're a little bit stronger than normal, but survivability is still pretty low.
It's pretty likely that everyone who's not Sabin will die. If Sabin is not full health, he'll die. So that is what we affectionately call being slam danced, as the enemy is named the Slam Dancer in Super Nintendo. So they'll only show up inside buildings, and if they have other enemies with them, like a harvester or something, they're not concerned. Thanks to how AI scripts work in this game, there's several enemies where seeing them alone is much scarier than seeing them in a group.
And it might look a little bit weird that I'm smoke bombing on preempts because you think you'd just be able to run away. But that is in fact not the case. Usually what will happen is 1 or 2 people will run away, the other 2 people will just be sitting there, and then on a preempt, enemies will just start beating the characters that are still there, and you're like,
Yep.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
I see how it is.
ATB magic and characters running away individually will do that. So it's the only PR where you'll see that happen. It also means, though, that when we have a single character, sometimes it's just better to run away and not smoke bomb at all.
This fight overall is relatively safe. I haven't really had anything super bad happen. We just auto battle this straight through. Having Sabin go last, that kind of makes it so we don't have to rely on his targeting, at least, because his targeting is random. But the buddy should be showing up here. Edgar should go in with the drill, and that should be all she needs.
Yep.
But if you have Sabin go on turn, like on the first or second option, there's a chance that he targets one of the buddies.
Yeah. His targeting will get weird when the ads appear, and he'll just kind of hit who he wants. Dadaluma typically has only about 400 health left at that point, based on how the rest of the fight is. So having the drill hit last, where it'll always target him, is just, I think, optimal. It makes the fight.
And Edgar's the ideal one because Celeste seems to miss a lot on that finishing attack for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a rowing thing that happens after buddies go in, so then he's technically like back rowed after that. I know like 5 will sometimes do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and evade getting fixed just messed up several of the old speedrun strats and caused some weird hiccups.
But we found Terra. Also found an old dude looking after her.
Mm-hmm.
He claims she's an Esper.
Yeah, he seems interesting. She looks like she's seen better days. So hopefully we can get that worked out.
This is kind of one of the lore dumps, but this is also when we finally get magic. We don't really get any good magic, but we do get magic. And because we don't get any good magic, that's why we wanted stuff like Drill that doesn't care about defense, or why you want Flash, which does non-elemental damage. The spell power on it actually isn't like that great, but it's still not bad. I didn't realize it was only a spell power of 20.
Yeah, it's pretty low, but it's still decent. Like, again, because it pierces, it changes the effect. So yeah, drill and Flash don't take into account the enemy's defense or magic defense. They just take into account Edgar's personal stats, his level, and his strength or his magic power, in case of drill and Flash respectively.
One thing that isn't super known is, so different Espers give different level up bonuses. Some will give HP, some will give MP, some will give strength, magic, stamina, whatever. The only way to get stat increases on level up is having an Esper on. Otherwise, the only thing that goes up when you level up is your MP count, your HP count, and your level.
That's right.
And so you may be thinking, well, why does it seem like whenever I level up, I do way more damage? Your level gets counted into the damage calculator on pretty much everything. That'll seem like why you're doing it, but when you start putting in the Esper level up bonuses, you see some crazy damage spikes.
Yeah, we end up abusing that. I don't even know if it's abusing it, but we end up utilizing that quite a bit during most speedruns, most categories of this game. Because there's a couple of different Espers that we'll get. None of them yet, but one of them is in a little bit, and then one of them is a bit later on after that, that raise magic power on level up. And because of how the damage formulas work, adding the level up multiplier and then the magic power multiplier gets pretty crazy.
So for reference, a decent SNES run would have killed Kefka like 1 or 2 minutes ago in the Kefka and Narsh section, so we're just that much faster. Basically, the time that I killed Danaluma is basically when I would be killing Kefka and Kefka and Narsh.
Yeah, it's a bit wild to think about, just how much quicker it is. Even with the intro, even with the encounters.
Okay, you want to make sure you don't mess up your party makeup here. Otherwise, you have to walk all the way back to Narsh to fix it, which is less than ideal.
I don't wanna jinx you. Okay. So we have had this happen in a couple, not us, but the community as a whole has had this happen, I think, in a couple of different marathon / relays. And in SNES it's a 12-minute time loss. In PR it's probably a good 9 or 10. It's not good.
This menu is still
weirdly
weirdly foreign to me.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah, don't do the Edgar Gauntlet until later.
Yeah. Mostly thinking
So
I may
that's
as
a
well put
change.
people in a spot so that they're not going to get absolutely beat on.
Yes. So PR, I would say in some ways PR is a better speed game for speed. It's definitely a bit more freeform. There's definitely more scenarios where you kind of have to react to what the game gives you.
There is less tech.
There's less tech. The Super Nintendo has a step route. It has RNG manipulations. It has more scripted fights that you get more comfortable with and can, better execute over time. The PR version is, it's a little more freeform. Not having the step route is good or bad depending on who you ask. I don't think we have a name for Setzer.
Oh, I don't think I've seen it.
No, I don't believe so. If there's been one, please.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's pros and cons of both. I know a lot of the old Super Nintendo community really is partial to it. You're trying to make the runner sad. Oh yeah, no, you're good, Jay. No need to apologize. There's again, I think over time things have been discovered for this version that make it slightly more appealing. I definitely know that Bdewd is not the hugest fan of this one versus the Super Nintendo one, but there's been some interesting tech that have made it that's made it more fun.
It mostly seems if you started with the SNES, you're kind of SNES pilled.
Yeah.
But if you started off with the PR, then you usually be like, I don't want to do that. I just want to stick with the PR, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Spend less time playing the game because you could just go by a whole lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of AFK fights, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I think if you had asked the community on the whole, the first couple months after PR came out, all of us would have said, don't run this version. And now I definitely don't think that's the case. I think there's definitely reasons to run this one over Super Nintendo.
And a lot of there's some of the fixes that we've made, but found. We find them, they put in.
Yeah. Yeah. We several of us in the community did a day one race of this game and found some really janky, awful things.
One of us finished.
Soft locks, yeah. One of the 4 runners actually finished the run. That would have been Bdewd himself.
Lion got stuck in Zone Eater because the game just would not let him progress.
Yep, I got a hard lock after having 4 or 5 soft locks during the game. And there was just a whole load of jank, and most of the jank is gone now. A little bit of the jank is still there, but that's the Final Fantasy VI charm. That's got to be there.
Now, I'm going to let you guys just listen in on this because they have put all of the budget into what you're about to see. This was one of the big POG moments on the day one thing for sure. It's so good. beautiful. Perspective changes. They actually put in singing. When they announced these pixel remasters, everyone said, "Oh, Bdewd, you're nuts because you think there's gonna be singing." No, they're just gonna have different lyrics. That's just what it's gonna be. Well, there we go. They added singing. Called it. That is a flag I will hold forever.
That's you did indeed, and it's pretty good singing too.
And if you put it in different languages, they sing in different languages. I just wasn't going to do that because I don't really know how to navigate those menus.
Yeah, it's tough because you have to then go back and do them in the other language.
Simply beautiful. I always say this is what us boomer gamers saw when we saw it for the first time on our Super Nintendo in the good old 16-bit. They also added QuickTime events, which may or may not have caught most of us on that day one. I may or may not have had a run that had a failure in here too, but I don't think it was my fault. I think it just didn't. It ate an input, I swear.
I feel like we've all had a run die to a misinput in Terra.
Now, I think the general consensus is Italian is the front runner for the best version, and then usually like Japanese, then English behind that. But I don't know, that Italian just it hits different. And if you haven't seen it, you can see videos of it on YouTube. It's good.
Yeah, I will second. If there's only one you can watch or listen to that one.
And the dancing actually looks like dancing. It's the small, like I said, they threw the budget at this one.
Just makes a lot of people yearn for a full remake in this style.
We found a mysterious little letter that says, "I'm gonna wreck your opera," from our dear friend Ultros. Stirring up more trouble.
It's not very nice at all.
Before we deal with that, we get more opera. They're actually fighting too. Looks good.
Yeah, this segment.
Insolent rogue, knave of the western hall, you would address my queen to be Maria. Yes, you have Maria's hand. I would die before that day comes. Then it's a duel.
All right, that's enough playtime. It's time to get down to business. I do love that part a whole lot, but it's fun to watch.
It's still one of the best segments, I think. Let's see.
Now it's time to save this thing, because apparently, I don't know what sort of rafters they have, where like the very edge of it can hold 4 tons, but that engineer deserves a raise.
It is impressive. And yeah, there actually is something to be said, I think, about in the original Woolsey translation, how Draco just kind of doesn't care, and he's like, "Oh, you're approaching me," and then he suddenly cares.
It's sick.
Okay, so we'll take a couple rats. Back attack rats are not really fun. Better than pincer rats. So there's a pseudo backup here where we use Siren to confuse the rats if we get a 5-pack and we get pincered. Otherwise, you typically don't see it.
Oh, there's the lock attack.
Yeah.
Edgar, where are you shooting?
He doesn't.
He doesn't know what's going on. He's just here for the ride.
I don't. Yeah. The level 12 that we got earlier. This is one of the segments where it really pays to have gotten it. Because if you're still level 11 here, you end up getting bad damage rolls, and these fights get messy. If the gold rat survives for too long, when his allies are dead, he'll just call back more. So you get stuck in a loop where you have to. It's good.
And we go like this.
Yep.
Go like that. Just for fun.
Yep. Yep. Perfect. So this fight coming up is kind of a doozy in a casual run. I can explain a little more about why after it's over, but the thing to note here is that we have a very specific order of operations that we need to attack in to make sure Ultros turns to certain characters in a certain order. So we get double damage from physicals when hitting him.
It's a nice, beautiful thing of, so Sabin has the Burning Fist on, and Ultros is weak to fire, so you do ×2 damage. And then, because he's going to be in the middle, attacking Ultros in the back is ×2 damage. And unless my math is incorrect, that should be ×4 damage if we set it up properly. And you can also get a fire proc if you're lucky. And if you're super lucky, you can actually get a crit, which does just stupid damage.
If you get the crit, this fight takes 3 attacks, I think. It's really dumb. So lock attacking turns him around. And there's a fire proc.
Sure. Easy enough.
And you got 2 fire procs, so... So for what it's worth, there have been a couple different routing changes for that fight, which have put certain characters in certain positions. I actually think you might be a little lucky that you got both fire procs there.
Yeah.
So what happens on that fight, casually, is after enough time has passed, Ultros will dive into this stage because he can do that, I guess. And he'll pop up in another spot. And when he pops up in another spot, he has all of his health back. The way the fight works is that there are 4 spots on the stage he can pop up at. Every spot has its own individual health pool. So every time he moves, you have a different pool of health to deal with. They don't reset when he moves to a different spot. So, like, when he returns to the original spot, he'll still have the HP that you left him there with. But it means instead of having the 2,000 or 3,000 health that he does usually, or 2,500, it means he has, like, 10,000 instead. So the goal of that fight is just to kill him ASAP, so he never gets to move. If he gets to move, it turns sour really quick.
Then he also does some really fun stuff like puts imp on you, can cast muddle, and then you kind of get into a bit of damage control.
Yeah, so that's actually part of the reason we approach that fight the way we do. You might wonder, why don't we use Aurabolt? Why don't we use, Blitz, tools, things like that? He's programmed to counter, I believe it is Sword Tech and Blitz with Imp Song. So if you try to utilize those on him, he'll turn your strong characters into imps. So physicals are really just desired there, just so we don't have any weird hiccups go on.
That's unfortunate because if you did a pummel, you'd have the Burning Fist attribute on top of it as well.
Yeah.
So you'd be able to have like a fire pummel, but
it would be really good.
It would be so good, but getting imped is also not good.
It's not good.
Now, that attribute happens, it seems like it still happens with Sabin, but they took it away where we used to have a route in any percent where if Edgar had a Maneater on, it would stack on his drill. And so there's a lot of stuff in the Tears fight at the end of the game that are humanoid. So he would just be doing stupid amounts of damage with drill, which doesn't care about defense. Now you're getting the Maneater, was that ×2 on humanoids?
Yes.
So getting max damage on it was quite easy. And then at some point they're like, oh wait, this shouldn't be functioning properly, but I'm pretty sure it still happens with Sabin and his
Yeah,
pummels.
there's certain weird weapon attributes sticking on moves they shouldn't. That it was basically all of them when the game first came out. You'd have really awkward instances where you'd use a blitz with a fire weapon equipped, and something that would absorb fire would absorb the blitz, even if it was like Aurabolt. So you'd Aurabolt something with a fire resistance, and it would do no damage, which is not how it's supposed to operate. So yeah, drill would do 2x damage to humans with Maneater equipped, even though it has nothing to do with the weapon that you have equipped. So you'd get 9,000 damage drills in the late game, which you could, we built a lot of the late game around. And when they removed that, we ended up having to change around that, unfortunately. It was a lot of fun, so.
Been a lot of reroutes over a few patches.
Yeah.
Which has vastly changed our World of Balance, which we now use. I think I use a bit of a Frankenstein version of it right now, but more or less functions the same as what any percent World of Balance looks like.
Yeah, there have been some bits and pieces that have changed over the past year or two.
Haven't got a little sleepy in that.
Oh,
fight.
that's a.
I forgot that he got tentacled.
Yeah. Let's see, there's no HP restoration coming out of that fight. I think in SNES there is.
Now we still got to hit the. We just go into the airship so you can.
Oh,
the
we get the
option
heal in
select of
there.
picking up
That's
that
right.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah, in some routes we do a shop before coming here. This one we don't.
We'll make it to the spot where I just want to do it all in one menu.
Yep.
Well,
Absolutely. You think Locke in his Hermes sandals would be helping more than this, but
he's been one of the slower
he's
people
been
so far.
really slow. Again, he's always a disappointment, so we shouldn't be surprised.
He never lets me down about letting me down.
No. That's the truth.
So we're coming up to a pretty stressful fight. In the Super Nintendo version, you can just run away from this fight. You can't do that here. So now we're kind of luckily it's not a time-based fight, it's a turn-based fight. But kind of going back to that enemy scripting, bad things can happen really early. And then it just kind of makes this whole thing it turns into a damage control fight for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, Ifrit can get a little rowdy. And depending on how he starts, will very quickly determine how rocky this fight will be. He has the ability to do a full party blaze pretty much right off the hop. And if he does, you're scrambling basically the entire rest of the fight.
Oh, we'll definitely quick save that one.
Yeah.
So there is a neat little exploit, I guess, with this fight.
Something.
For some reason, Kieran and the damage ticks will just sometimes stop the damage ticks from, or the counters from happening. Oh. Let's see.
Yeah. It's more weird ATD behavior, where the regen ticks will. That's rough. The regen ticks will kind of override certain enemy script actions. There's a couple times we'll use it. On Ifrit is the first one, and then there's a time later on that we'll likely use it as well. But for whatever reason, it just causes Ifrit's counterattacks to not fire as they're supposed to. And that was a
good fight.
Honestly, that was a fantastic fight. Yeah, no blaze, no really bad Fyra. Locke can take that one. He's doing his best.
He's just on cure duty anyway, so if he dies, I just don't have to cure.
Yeah, exactly. We would not always get Ifrit here, depending on what route we're doing. Obviously, in this route, we need everything. So, we will be getting Ifrit. Shiva is required.
Yeah, that looks. That's almost a. So that is a pretty high reset point for runs, or at the very least, a spot where you lose a bunch of time, because it's very easy to just die. Just cause
it's a messy. It is a very, very messy. So to get through it that quickly is just really, really great. That's basically the dream fight.
And that's one of those fights where you saw like nothing was happening for a little bit. That's just the ATB doing what the ATB do, or I guess don't do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you clog it with enough actions, and the regen ticks kind of help clog it up more, and you just get fewer enemy attacks, and ultimately auto battle will kick in and do what it needs to do. You ultimately need 3 drills and 3 blizzards.
Lucky me.
No overflow.
That's why quick save was literally just overflow.
So this guy can start off with an attack called Overflow, which will confuse its target. Depending on who that hits, can be really bad.
I don't really want him to do anything, so...
Sleep ends up sticking for a lot longer when you're not running auto battle. But those ticks that happen, hey, you got your good steal too. Those ticks that happen while auto battle is just kind of sitting around make the sleep timer run down. So where in other versions you wouldn't necessarily have to keep recapping sleep, you will have to do it once. That's another really good fight.
I say, shouldn't he be dead here soon? And then sure enough, he has the next attack.
Yeah, he is dead there. Ice Brand, you can get a Flame Tongue or an Ice Brand there. They both sell for the same. It's really whatever.
Celeste can do meaningful damage in that fight, but because of auto battle rolling through and you're going to be waiting on the twins, or the twins are going to be waiting on her then, she doesn't do the damage that the twins do, so it's better off just to have her just do nothing. Yeah. And that's one of the small changes. Why I kind of like... I know how that fight goes and says, be like, okay, he should be dead off of like this drill, but because Celeste isn't doing anything, it's like, oh, I guess he doesn't die
here. You end up needing one more attack from one of the brothers. But again, it's that whole argument of turn count versus actual like real time, thanks to how auto battle flows. So ultimately, it's just better. Like you can use a summon there. You can use like Shiva or Ifrit or something to do pretty hefty damage on Celis. But it's just
so long. So I was actually thinking doing the second sleep. I'm like, Locke isn't going to steal now. I just have this feeling I'm giving you another chance, but I just...
He's a major disappointment, and thankfully he came through.
Good thing I put that thing on that lets him steal more so that he can sometimes not steal more.
That's one of the important ones, though. That Rune Blade is a lot of money.
That's 3,500 GP in our pocket now.
Mm-hmm. And we'll have one shop later on where we need to have as much money as possible. It's really the only hang-up point for money. It usually works out pretty good. You've got the Rune Blade, you've got the Black Belt. Like, you spent most of that money, but again, yeah, we should be okay. This segment here is a little bit questionable at times. You used to be able to manipulate this, so you always knew which fights you were getting. You get 5 guaranteed fights during the minecart segment. You would take them out with flash, drill, combination of those inputs. Now, because of the extra level we got, typically every fight we get here is not going to be concerning. We really want red guys because they give more money. But if we get purple, it's whatever. It's fun.
Yeah, the four reds are the rare, but they're so good.
They're really good. The experience is pretty much going to be the same, like give or take, no matter what, because of where our levels are.
Hey.
Yeah, okay. Take those. So, you get a big chunk of money. You also get a bigger chance at them dropping a scroll. So one of the changes in this route is that we turn Phantom on pretty much right away. You wanna use it during the first fight. There you go. And you need to make sure these fights don't go past 1. On the second turn, these Magna Rotors can cast spells. And if they do that, you're going to lose your Phantom, and you're going to go into the boss fight at the end of this in a much worse place.
And, like, the Fyras and the Blazzaras will almost kill you.
Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. And because Locke is the one who got hit, and Locke is the one who has Phantom, if he gets hit again, he's probably dead. And then you just end up at this really bad cycle of needing to revive, then needing him to cast, and needing to get him more MP. It's just not good. So this segment is a big for this route if you get really unlucky.
And they made a very big change on this upcoming boss too. So he has a counterattack called Blood Feast. And the SNES version does like 60 to 70 damage. Whatever. It heals him for that, but you know, you're like, okay, it's okay damage. Now, for some reason, it ignores row, it ignores defense, and it does like 200 and 200 and some. And I don't know if you've seen our HP. We're not much more than that.
Nope. This boss, you tend to know how the fight's gonna go on the first turn. If the boss does something to remove your phantom on the first turn, you're gonna have a bad time. And if he doesn't, you're probably gonna have a pretty uneventful boss fight. Blood Feast is a physical, so phantom will cause you to block it, cause you to dodge it, which is why it's so important. But once it starts hitting, and it's a counterattack to pretty much anything, your people just start dropping. So
this is one of those fights where we also just throw caution to the wind and kind of yeet-skeet it as well.
You
so
just
that makes it scarier.
You just kind of roll with it. Edgar is on flash duty the entire time. That way he takes care of the arms as they come back. Locke can actually do significant damage in this fight with the flame tongue in the front row. He does like, what was that, 278? Like, that's pretty good. And then Aura Cannon obviously is gonna just do huge chunks whenever it hits. So
for what it's worth, Locke, I did think about your survivability for a second.
Yeah, you know. So it goes. And he did his job though. Like, that's perfect. That's a great fight. So yeah, if you get 128 opening with net, which causes stop on one of your characters and does pierce vanish, you typically have a bad time. So I'm gonna let you talk about cranes because I need to step away for just a moment.
Sure. So cranes has actually changed up quite a bit. Normally what we would do with the Thunder Rod was we would throw it on the tunnel armor. Rods we haven't touched on a lot, but rods have variable damage now, whereas in the Super Nintendo version it was always ignores magic defense, which still does, ignores things like reflect, which it still does, but now it doesn't always do the highest damage roll, and we found out that there's a lot of fights in the SNES version based off of that we are just barely killing. So we ended up not using on tunnel armor, and we can have that fight fast with the rune edge. And we can actually use the one on here because this fight can get out of hand very quickly. However, because Edgar hit level 13 and he has the hero ring and the earrings, you'll be able to do a decent amount of damage and kill the right crane, which is susceptible to the thunder, whereas the left one just absorbs it. So don't throw it on the left one. Bad things will happen. And we actually made this fight pretty quick and simple, and it's not risk-free, but it doesn't actually feel that scary. For most of us. Locke may be feeling different feelings right now. Magic Tech Barrier, we don't care about that at all. And that's the fight. Actually got damage rolled on the drill there, because that drill should kill, but that can just be a variance of Bismarck hitting a little low, drill hitting a little low, just need a little extra damage. I just threw in the pommel because the pommel's fun. And Locke is fine. He's sitting there, he's at the helm, he's having a good time. Now we're coming up to one of the sections in the game that feels like it could have been really cool, but it's kind of lacking in what it actually gives. We're going to be going and visiting the Esper World in a flashback. Now, even casually, it kind of falls a bit short. None of the dialogue boxes that they add really add anything. Every single Esper mostly says the same thing during any of the segments in here. And I feel like this is one of the spots they kind of fell flat on. But we have to go through it because the game says so. Luckily, it's decently short. They do give... Or I guess we do have the sprint button. In the SNES version, I think they just give Bdewd here the sprint shoes. Always on the option that we don't want it to be on, so you have to be aware of that. If you just let your turbo go, it'll just bring that text box up and up and up and up and up, and you're like, hang on, I think something's wrong here. Oh. Goes right to her bed. Hey, did I wake you, by the way? I'm just running around your bed. Like, no big deal or nothing, but, So the whole thing with this bit is they brought a human into the Esper world, and, you know, as things go, things that are different are bad, and this ends up causing a whole bunch of issues. They also changed her name. Here she is Madeline, but in the SNES, I believe her name is Madonna. And as much flack as I give this section, there is one thing that we get out of this. One little meme that lasts like an entire second. But that's if you hold hands, the world will give you... Timing was a little off. Insta baby! And there you go. That's the most fun you get out of this section, I'm not gonna lie. After getting through the Magitech factory though, it is nice to kind of have this little calm down section depending on how your cranes fight went. You hold hands, the world will give you an ad break. Maybe we need more, we need more ad breaks and... We need more ad breaks in life than no one ever. Anyways, now that the humans are starting to come here, things are starting to happen. People are... Not people, I guess. The Espers are starting to blame Madeline. And she's had enough. She's out. But Bdewd here seems to have caught some feelings. I guess because they had the baby and everything, that would make sense. So he's come to confront the humans as they're using magic to kick out all the humans. The humans again, Bdewd. Humans. For some reason, she's managing to hold on. Not very well, because there goes the baby. There goes the girl. There goes the Esper. And, this is the downfall of humankind as we know it. And this is basically the backstory on how Terra, now known as Ultima, got into the hands of the Empire for her whole life. I believe she's 18. So she's been there for a stint.
Did we have a lovely time in the Esper World?
It was amazing.
Fantastic.
I lost a couple of seconds on bonks and I just felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
But we also learned about Instababy.
Oh, good, good. That's a life lesson for everyone. Never hold hands.
That's why there's not a lot of Canadians, because we're always wearing gloves. So I guess from the old all characters in Esper's route, which there was a couple runs of it, I guess. This would be one of the divergences where we used to go and grab Zone Seek here in the auction house. But we're going to save that until World of Ruin, thanks to how the any percent run kind of plays out, and it's pretty slick. I have... Okay. Sure.
Yeah, ultimately, so in the Super Nintendo, any percent glitchless and all characters Esper's rights we get Zone Seek here, and we use it to level up Terra with. As it's one of those Espers that provides a nice bonus on level up. It's +2 magic, which is gigantic. So in conjunction with those bonuses and the way that breakable rods work, we utilize the magic power that we get to make sure that those rods do just enough damage to end quite a few boss fights that we deal with. Now, they changed how rods work in this version of the game. They no longer guarantee the highest max damage like they do in Super Nintendo. So, in conjunction with some of the other things that go on, even if we were to get Zone Seek and you utilize the same level ups and everything, if we get a bad damage roll with a rod, it could still kill us in a boss fight that we're not anticipating going the way it does. So ultimately, instead, we'll utilize one of the other Espers we got, Madwin, and just get the +1 magic bonus from it during this leveling segment, and approach a few fights a little bit.
Once again, we're gonna grab another clock elixir.
Thank you to the clock fairies for throwing those in there. Come back and get approval to go continue this business with the Espers. Head off with Terra and Locke through the sealed cave. Start a little bit of a grind.
If you're gonna play this game, maybe don't use a Super Nintendo controller like I do, because it doesn't give you a straight button.
I hate that there.
But I'm stuck with this controller. I am this controller, and this controller is me.
Yeah. Old habits and all that.
So we're gonna be getting Terra to level 20 in here.
20.
Everything in here is... Oh, right. Silly me.
Yeah, you
just want to show you that you can't do that in this version.
Right.
I may have been looking at notes at that time.
In other versions of this game, the transitions for the bridges, you're allowed to clip between a valid bridge piece and another empty bridge piece, as long as you're holding the direction on the transition between the bridges. In this version, you can't do it. So you actually have to take the long routes where the bridge is always stable. It's not a huge difference, but there's a couple bridges that are...
Watching Dine struggle bus with that, because he's never done it before, was amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. That is an unfortunate one.
It went about as good as it can go, though.
It really did. Life Shaver is not an issue. Casually, Life Shaver is a big issue, but if you have done no damage to those enemies, Life Shaver does 0. So it does not.
Oh. Oh, that looked weird. The targeting in this is a little bit weird, where it doesn't remember the memory on you wanting to do it on an enemy. I'll be silly about this.
You cannot auto battle with an item usage like this. Have it actually take some rock. For whatever reason. Once the menu comes back up, you can just mash A. And it'll go to the next enemy properly. But auto battle does not hook this logic right, and I don't.
That being said, you can target the same enemy and it'll auto target for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Other versions of this game did something weird where if you tried to use the second holy water on the first one you used the first holy water on, it would not move to the next enemy. This version, it does move to. So that's kind of nice. Okay, we're taking a tiny detour here to grab a treasure chest that has a magical little item inside.
The high ether. Oh, also the ultimate weapon.
Also, yeah. The other 2 boxes have Magicites in them. If you're feeling really lucky, you can grab them and try to have fun later.
Sick.
That's it.
I thought I saw that input go up just at the last second.
Yep, I mean, it'll still do the job, but it's an elixir down. Thankfully, in this route, we have a lot of elixir, so it shouldn't have an issue. Also, we've had to navigate through this entire cave, and so really this quote-unquote grind kind of works out while you're going through. It's not much at all in the way of extra encounter, which is really...
Honestly, it gives me an encounter before the...
And it may or may not.
Can't ask for too much better.
Nope, that's really good. So ideally on these fights, as you've seen, the 3 packs, you're going to want Locke to throw the first one, and then Terra to throw the second and third ones, and Locke to run between the second and third ones. If it's just a 2-pack of enemies, you'll have Terra throw them both. And Locke just run for the first one. That's honestly a almost perfect cave scenario, though. Like, you got just enough fights, you only got 1 back attack.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
The back attack was kinder than most of the front attacks.
Yeah.
It
is all Espers. Those Magicites that are in those treasure chests are just random Magicites. They are not actual Espers. So, for anyone not familiar with them, the Magicite item causes a random Esper in the game to be cast. And it can be anything. More often than not, it's Crusader.
So, fun little fact about auto battle is there'll be a few spots here where you can pop it on, and it's not really a battle, but you get ATB, so it counts as one. So I'm going to use it like right here, and it does speed up some of the text boxes and animations in this little section, which is weird but nifty.
Yeah.
Also makes the text boxes go by quicker.
Yep. Anytime you see that arrow on the top left. First time you ever use the random Magicite, summon Crusader and wipe my party. It does that all the time. Absolutely. One of the one of the fun things that a lot of us have encountered in these runs over time is with Setzer's slot command. If you get bar, it is the same as using a Magicite item. And for whatever reason, where the RNG script tends to be in Super Nintendo, when you get bar on the Cranes fight, feels like it's a 50% chance of it being Crusader, and you just die. And it's hilarious.
For everyone not the streamer.
It's pretty funny for the streamer. As someone who's had that happen, it's pretty funny. It's a lot funnier in hindsight. If you're on a good pace and it happens, you feel really...
I bought the extra teleport stone today.
You did, okay. So, you're, it's kind of a player's choice there if you want to walk out of the cave because it's very short. And if you don't, you need to use a teleport stone.
I opt to because I do a little bit of an equip menu there. So I'm like, I may as well, I'm in here anyways. Then I don't risk the chance of encounter anything. Just for the low cost of $750?
700, something like that, yeah. It's not terrible. I feel like it's less of a problem in all characters Espers.
Yeah.
Because the money concern isn't as bad here.
Well, we found out with like pretty much a perfect grind that the money is not an issue.
Yeah, like you're going to be spending most of the money that you have at Thamasa, I think. But because of how the end game goes in this route, you need fewer rods than you do in the end. The 12 and 8 is important, and then you just kind of load up on thunder rods to the point where you can't.
Do we actually know what causes this to go on fire? I just blame Ifrit.
Probably. Yeah, probably Ifrit. Bahamut. I don't know. It might be Cyan's fault.
I blame Locke. Safe
I
one.
think that's probably the safest bet.
Now, I didn't think I healed a lot in there. I'm gonna double check because I didn't actually, but I'm pretty sure we're above 88 MP on Terra.
Yeah, should be. It's a super quick check, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw 3 digits.
Yeah, it typically isn't an issue.
I did not read what the number was, but I saw 3 digits.
116.
Sick.
Yep. You were totally. So you need 88 MP here, because there's a few fights coming up that you'll have to cast a couple of different abilities on. Madwin, a couple of different summons.
I haven't really talked about it, but the reason we don't go in mode 7 on this chocobo is for some reason they made the mode 7 chocobo be super chonky, and he just ping pongs off of everything. Going between those mountains there is super painful for absolutely no reason. So just going into the regular 2D and life is good. Could be better without that music, but life is still okay.
Again, I want everyone to be able to enjoy the beautiful rendition of Techno Chocobo.
I'll be quiet for the big one.
It's really. But yeah, it's really interesting because if you keep the pseudo mode 7 view for the Choco ride, it's just abysmally slow.
Like he's like 2 to almost 3 times bigger with the hitbox than he actually looks, and I just don't know why.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. It's miserable. Just don't do it.
So we're gonna be talking to. It's 24 guards, all the guards?
It is indeed.
Okay. For some reason I thought there was 20.
24 guards.
So I don't like Locke. I don't know if you guys will pick up on this or not. I don't like Locke. I'm gonna take him out. So for some reason in this, which this is the only version that I know of that actually does this, you get credit for doing the guard fights while not actually doing the guard fights. You can just run away and they still give you the credit for it. Since we can do very fast runaways with a Hermes Sandals single character, that is exactly what we're gonna do.
Yeah, Locke is just dead weight and is better off dead. Sorry, Locke. I'm sorry, people who like Locke.
Sorry, not sorry. Normally we worry about Program 65, but today...
Doesn't matter. So we can just leave. And he's like, oh, I guess I do see it your way. Pacifism was always the...
This is a huge, a paladin always sheaths its sword type of thing.
So Program 65, for what it's worth, causes silence. It's a physical attack that causes silence, and the way you used to need to kill all those soldiers is by Terra casting them. So yeah, it would cause bad hiccups if you got hit by.
And going fast through this actually does matter, because we can finish up this area as soon as we're done it just by going to the doors.
It's true. So you used to need to wait for the timer to run out. So you'd talk to everybody, do all your fights, and then you'd do some menuing and item rearrangement and all that good stuff in the remaining like minute you had left. But Pixel Remaster, a couple things are different. The timer doesn't run while you're in the menu. The timer does not need to hit 0 for you to progress to the next part. So we can just talk to everybody and get out of here. 24.
That was 24. You know why I pick up that holy water, by the way? Behemoth King. In the event I don't have to keep track of my stuff then.
That's very smart. Yeah, I noticed you've been using that instead of Phoenix Down, and I kind of like that.
So we swapped to Bismarck here because for some reason Bismarck has a little more spell power than Madouine does. And it's just enough that we don't need to trance it all.
Don't mess up the quick.
Well, that throws me off not seeing Celeste's name.
Mm-hmm. Mama-san is one of us.
Okay, we're good now. So this is a whole point system thing that we're doing. This is to get the ward bangle at the end, which gives us essentially half the encounters. Which is good because we don't really want to take a lot of encounters.
Yeah, it's pretty noticeable.
Cool.
So yep, Bismarck doing its job.
He rolled
that's
atrociously low.
That was a really bad roll. That was like 550 or something. I didn't even know it could roll that low.
But we made it through anyway. That's not like it's a huge deal or anything.
It's whatever, but it's unfortunate.
Everybody's favorite buddy.
It's General Leo.
Alright, so that's basically the meat and potatoes of this. Now we get to see... We basically had like a quote-unquote perfect banquet. So now we get to reap a bunch of benefits from it. Some of the stuff we care about, some of the stuff we don't care about. Getting the Tintina bar, or whatever it's called in this version. Don't really care about that too much, but we get access to the weapons base, which has a bunch of stuff for a bunch of money, because money is basically the biggest thing here. And also that ward bangle.
Yep, that last thing is the biggest thing. Actually, the weapons base is the biggest thing.
You can get through a run with no ward bangle, but it's tough to get through one with no money.
No ward bangle is even less of an issue in PR, I feel like.
Yeah.
No ward bangle in SNES is a problem. No money, no Imperial weapons base means you're running. So.
We also get a neat little thing called alarm earrings, so back attacks and pincers won't happen as long as I have it on, which is nice, because this game's been throwing a bunch of them at me today. That doesn't mean we will always have it on, but a good chunk of it now where we will, just to makes things nice and safe.
It's something that you can sell if you're really hard pressed for cash. If something went horribly wrong earlier, tend to not want to. You did just get another one, and we will end up selling because we don't need.
You see, you can. Oh, okay, never mind. I feel like you can see we can go pretty far distances.
I mean, it was inevitable.
Usually it lets me say the thing and then it stops me.
And yeah, you didn't even get to. It's impressive. That fight can be fun because that fossil dragon can zombify your characters. It's not usually a concern, but you know, stranger things have happened. Get one more teleport stone here. The last one we'll need. Use at least 2. And it's our good friend.
I don't think we have a shadow name, correct?
I don't think we do. The names for Strago and Realm will be pretty soon. The names for Mog and Gogo are still, probably an hour and a half out?
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take. And then Umaro is another 30 minutes or so after that. Maybe a little more. So if anyone wants to get in for those. I know Mog has been claimed, but the other ones have not, if anyone would like to.
So I would say this is usually about the slog of the run. There's a lot of setup that they're doing. We're heading to the magical place at Thematics. We found out about the 3 statues that basically it's all about they handle all the magic and the balance of the world. So we're heading over there to kind of go and take a peek at it. The Esper World is also there. No, it's not. Oh, no, it's not. Because we just visited.
There's a place. Yeah, there's a place with heavy magical power over there that the Espers are gathering at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
And we made an alliance with the Empire because they seem like really trustworthy people now.
Yeah. Gestal just has good intentions, I'm sure. He just really wants peace.
Because we said, what do you want me to say? And we're like, we want you to say all you want is peace. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's all I want.
Right. Yeah, how can you say no when he says he wants peace over a 3 lobster dinner? And now we get to enjoy cutscenes amongst the stars.
So luckily, these ones go by a little bit quicker because of the instant text and everything. That being said, it feels like you still hear about the same amount of music. Maybe that's just me and just kind of, as a runner, doing like you kind of AFK your brain a little bit. So this is kind of nice. You get a little bit of rest before the storm, because what's going to be coming up after this is a lot of shenanigans. So, Terra, or Ultima, is still in her whole turmoil of what is love, why do we live? And she's going to Leo, a guy who has done nothing but live his life for the military, and he's like, I don't really have a good answer, but do what feels right. That being said, I know he says she's young. I don't know how old he is, because I've been calling people young since I was like 26. 31 now, and I'm still like, young whippersnappers. Only like 3 years younger than you. Yeah, I remember back when I was that age. Way back when. But this little introspective comes in. Shadow's kind of like, yeah, I've kind of lived a life of crime. But, you know, killing all the people and whatever else. I've had to basically kill my feelings. Don't be like me. Like, okay. Oh, no. And I don't know, I'm never a fan of like having a heavy, I like having a heavy scene like this and then just leaving it as the heavy scene. But you know, you get your comic relief of haha, Lock can't handle being on the ocean. Puke puke. Serious moment over. That's it. Pack her in. Luckily, there's no Leviathan in this world, so we don't have to worry about running into him along the way here. And I guess a little thing I didn't really pick out, but we have avoided Shadow up to this point. That's why we had to rename him in Thamasa. We skipped him in Sabin scenario. We took 4 people to Zozo, so we didn't even bother picking him up. So it's usually kind of weird just being like, this is the first time you've seen him, even though you've had numerous times to find him. I'll give him a little screen time. There he is. Yay! Shadow time! Now, one of the things that has kind of happened between different routes is, do we shop now? Do we shop later? We ended up shopping afterwards just for a couple of potential steal that we can get. I believe we have not had a name for Realm and or Strago, so I'm just gonna mash on through that. I love Realm Sprite, by the way. This is one of my favorite sprites that got redone. The little stars on her bandana, I think. And there she goes. Odd enough, the assassin's dog just went with her. All kind. Totally not weird. Totally not suspicious. I probably wouldn't even think about it. He's a good dog, though. Calls him once. He comes. Makes the grand entrance too. Walks in like, yo, what's up? But now we get to sit here or sleep here for 1 GP. If you came here casually and the first thing you thought was, I need to go to the inn, it'll be a regular price. After you see that cutscene, though, it drops down to 1 GP just to be like, hey, this is what you need to do to trigger this. Bad things are happening at the night. What could it possibly be? Strago, you're not making any sense. Realm stuck? Fire? What are you talking about? Here we get a nice little lesson in fire safety. Shadow couldn't care less until he realized that his dog's gone. Yep, that sure is a house on fire. So it turns out, this house had a lot of fire rods in it. It turns out if you have things that are very flammable in your house, sometimes your house can go up in flames. Who would have thunk it? But now we gotta fix this. What we weren't supposed to know is there's a whole bunch of magic users in this place, because magic is pretty, it's pretty rare still. The whole idea is that whatever it was, 1,000 years ago, the War of the Magi was basically the last time magic was seen, and that's why Terra and the Espers and all that stuff is pretty significant. But it turns out that there's a whole bunch of magic users in this little town. Painting with fire is indeed probably not recommended by most of your fire departments. I don't know what spell they're casting here, because it sure looks like that they're throwing water on it. But I have a theory that their Flames Be Gone is actually oil-based. And I say this because that sure ignited really quickly. And we were talking about how we don't have manipulations anymore, which is true. So we kind of take this a little bit differently. You're hoping you only get like 1, 2 encounters here. We're going to force the first one. That typically lets you get through this first room a little bit quicker. Make sure everyone is on smoke bomb, just for my knowledge. And you can hold a nice little up left here and swing right past. This guy's kind of random which way he moves. Oh, okay. I guess I wasn't holding down. You typically can get around him if you hold down left there, but, you know, it is what it is. Oh, he got in the way just at the last second. He hit me with the "you shall not pass." Turns out I can still pass. He's got to smoke bomb it. You know, a good way to extinguish a fire is to eliminate the oxygen. And these smoke bombs should be eliminating all of the oxygen. Just got to remember that there is a menu I need to do after this. Oh my. Okay, that's on me. That's on me. And here we kind of hope that Locke isn't a disappointment again. He more than likely will be, but we hope that he isn't. We want to go Hermes with the hero. You're going to get a silk robe for a little bit of magic. We can put the ward and the sprint on you, and you can get a... There it is. And we do the menu there just because then you get the autosave in the event that something bad happens. Hey, you got the steal. Thank you, buddy. So this is our first time of actually using trance. Doubles our magic power, and it halves the damage that we take. But we get a max damage. This guy has 8,400 HP. And away we go. We move. And that is our first instance of max damage, but is definitely not the last. Especially in this route, we do a lot of damage with a proper setup before we go and do a bunch of stuff. But it turns out we still kind of failed anyways. We found Realm, but then, you know, the heat and the smoke just kind of overtook us. But look who it is! It's our boy Shadow! I think he just threw a smoke bomb, but he's trying to look cool about it. First he checks to make sure the dog's okay. And, magically get taken out. Why didn't we just jump from the roof? That is a phenomenal question. There will be scholars looking on this 30 years from now asking the same thing. Will we have an answer? Probably. The answer is Locke is in the party, and Locke disappoints us all, and he came up with the idea.
Is he the reason that we thought a smoke bomb would be a good idea? Or does Shadow just have smoke bombs that work a lot better than us?
Shadow just has better gear. He's kind of selfish. Really... He doesn't share.
Yeah. No, I mean, no. We've never even seen him before now, so...
We have no personal ties.
No. None whatsoever. Some random ninja. It's fine. Thank you, random ninja, for saving us.
But we're coming into the big shop. This is the one where we've been hoarding a bunch of stuff. Making sure... We did get the steel, by the way.
That's actually really important, because it's another big chunk of money that we...
The first time
would miss out on otherwise. Yeah. Yeah, this shop is massive. The most important thing I will say again is don't sell the earrings. In any percent we sell the earrings, they're a good amount of money. If we sell them here, it ruins the rest of the run.
I may have done that on the first run that I did this on Wednesday, and it turns out you just lose out on 50% of your magical damage, which is a lot.
It's very bad. What the dog doing? Dog leaving.
So we're gonna buy a mystery veil, which is a pretty nice little piece of gear. Where'd you go? There you are. Oh, I got some trolls. That's nice.
Yeah. The 4-pack gave you one, I know.
I'm scared to mash through there because I know.
I don't. Yeah, there's a few things we have to keep. We have to keep the ultimate weapon, we have to keep the flame rod, we have to keep the Mystery Veil, obviously, and the Magus hats. You may have an extra Magus hat after all, I'm not sure. Keep it, it's fine.
That's not gonna do me any harm.
No.
Having it.
No, it's not a bad... Again, we cannot sell the earrings here, but we can sell a whole bunch of other stuff that gets us more than where we...
More money than I've left with before.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So that's really good. The numbers we need to hit are 12 fire rods, 8 ice rods, and then however many thunder rods we have after we buy the other ones. 17 is probably the most comfortable number we aim for. Anything past that is just absurdly luxury that we really don't need. But getting that many is extremely good, and it means we're in a really good place going forward. So, rods are very powerful. Rods are items that you break to cast level 2 magic spells. They ignore magic defense. They also used to not damage roll. They damage roll now, but they're still absurdly powerful. So we'll use a lot of them for the entire rest of the run. And this is the only place we can buy them. So we have to stock up now.
I didn't see it right off the hop. I couldn't remember if we could sell the White Cape there if we don't sell the White Cape till later in the event that we don't get the steel.
I don't know if it matters. You didn't need to sell it anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah.
The extra content in this route, we use a couple gear pieces that we don't normally use, and I think there are things that I personally have still not organized whether or not we use them later on, so... But again, the money being less of an issue, it's kind of whatever.
Cool.
Triss is back, and we got a steal. Yep. Fantastic. Terra got some sweet shades.
I don't know if that little bit of defend at the end there is good or not, but it makes my life a lot easier.
It's funky. So, like, there's inconsistencies here with the trans gauge. In that I have seen some runners just auto battle this entire segment and never have an issue with the trans gauge. And I have ATB weighted the entire thing, and then I've had issues later on with it still. And I know for other runners it's been like that, and then for some certain scenarios it's been fine. It interacts with auto battle in a weird way, but I don't know what it is. So, and that's a really clean fight.
Yep, didn't get any of the nasty stuff at the end, which is, well, not even nasty, just time-wasting stuff, because he'll haste and talk and whatever else, and you're like, dude, I just want to throw one rod and get out of here.
He blabbers about everything, and if you catch that at a bad time and you're not paying attention to it, you'll lose all your trance bar while he's talking, and it's just stupid.
Now we are in
perfect.
Cutscene Central. This is the longest cutscene with a small little break. Technically, there's like 2 small little breaks of very minimal work put into it. But we're going to be sitting here for a good 15 to 20.
I hate that this break exists. Because this would be a really good time to go get a sandwich, walk the dog, stretch, do a few laps.
Taxes.
Right, exactly.
12 world peace. You know, you'll have a little bit of time.
And instead, we have to do one segment of about 3 seconds of movement. And it means we can't just AFK for 10 minutes here.
I have legitimately seen people do chores.
Oh, yeah.
Be like, you get into here, yep, hit the turbo, go and whatever else, look, and be like, okay, yeah, sounds like we're in the master, do my little walk thing. Okay, yeah, go and do a little bit more.
The route, one of the Super Nintendo routes that's being re-explored right now, the previously known as No Sketch route, might actually become just the No 52 Death route because it might be faster than any other route we've got. Skips this part. And it's nice. It's really nice.
Now there is a lot of stuff like happening here. I don't think. Oh no, wait, that's not actually her dad. I don't know. They all look the same. Oh no, that's Yura or whatever his name is.
That's Yura, yeah.
But we get to bring the Esper. So the magical essence that we found there was just a whole bunch of Espers gathering after they got out of the Esper World, and now we're trying to make peace. Things are looking up. We can finish this game and everyone be happy. There's just one small little thing. I apparently don't know the timing for this.
It's okay. We have to laugh about the awkward moment first. The Empire would never betray us, though. They seem so honest.
You can tell because Kevin comes hopping in here like Kermit the Frog, he's up to no good.
Yeah. It's never a good sign.
If you think Sketch is broken in this NES version, you need to see the new stuff. It is bonkers.
Wild. Yeah, so the one of the Japanese legends of finding broken tech in this game, Eddie, has uncovered some new shenanigans with a camera glitch and text boxes and all sorts of weird stuff. And then some of the community on the U.S. side, or no, that's not the West, the Western, excuse me, near LCC, few other people have been working on applying it to the American to FF6 US route, and then Dine to Atari, who basically runs all of the Super Nintendo categories and all the other categories at this point for this game too, has been working with that route and actually doing it in practice and running it lately. And the amount of time save that's been discovered from these new glitches is just wild. You get to skip huge chunks of the game. You get to use the airship glitch now. Like, it's great.
So I'm actually worried about this fight. I'm still worried about this fight. You can die on this fight.
You can die on this fight. Yeah,
Okay,
Firaga is...
I think we're okay now.
A little questionable.
So,
The smell. Yeah,
damage ticks with poison are very fast and frequent in this version. And so if you get poisoned on like turn 2 and then you eat a couple of Firagas, because of the damage ticks will happen between your offering hits. It's just, it's that crazy. And then you could just die. Just cuts.
So you were never able to lose that fight in Super unless Leo was in the back row and you kept auto attack. If he was in the back row, you could just use shock every turn. If you get early poisoned in this run, it actually makes sense to use shock early. Because the animation is, while it's a little longer, you won't get ticked out between physicals like you would if you were fighting using a Master Scroll. And typically it will help save you from a sticky situation. But we've had actual runs die.
And it's magical.
It's really something. We thought it was a myth, and it's not a myth. You can absolutely die there. It has to be a very specific sequence of events. It has to be Firaga, Bio, Poison.
Possibly another Firaga.
Or something like that, yeah. But if the poison, if the Bio happens early, and you get Firaga, they can be bad. Personally, I don't think it should matter, because Leo dies 5 seconds later. But that's just...
It's canon.
Yeah, right? Like... Does he have to die by getting stabbed? Like, I don't...
Imagine if that actually let us skip a cutscene.
That would be something.
The old Final Fantasy V throwing the Phoenix down on Galuf.
Oh, yes.
Which also doesn't work in the PR. The amount of people that have tried and the amount of time that has gone into it, pretty funny. Me being one of them, spend an hour, be like, surely one of these Phoenix Downs will hit and it's just really bad. But, nope. It just don't work.
Just doesn't.
So Kefka's gone completely unhinged at this point. Starts attacking everybody. Starts getting all the Espers. I don't know what spells he's using, what sort of training montage he went and did off screen. But he is quite powerful now. I don't even really know why he needs this Magicite, because he's just nuking everything. But he just wants this Magicite. And so he just starts killing all of them in the sky. So apparently that's where they all are. They're at least not on screen.
He just wants it all. He has to have everything.
He's a greedy boy.
Yeah. He doesn't want anyone else to have it.
This is one of the sad fixes. We used to have a how many of these fire spells hit Kefka game. They made it consistently where it's always 0-0-1, where the Firaga always hits but everything else misses. and you know, big sad.
This was a fun streamer moment when you could actually have people guess how many were gonna work.
Now I've definitely thrown it up there on this and be like, okay, it's always the last one, so it's always gonna be 1. And there'll still be people that bet 0, 1, 2, and 3. Just cause.
You can trick them. Sure will be random this time, I'm sure. It's not.
I need to remember to unequip people before I get onto the ship.
You do. This is actually extremely important.
I have also learned this. There was a lot of mistakes on my first run of this reroute.
It's okay. So, coming up here, we're going to have a tiny bit of freedom to move around and do things, followed by a cutscene. Locke, Realm, Shadow, Terra are all equipped pretty much to the nines with all of our... Terra will keep her stuff because we're using her going forward. Everyone else needs to have their equipment dumped because we really need it for the next segment. If we don't have it, bad things happen.
Bad things happen with it on, so we needed to maybe make the bad things be a little less bad.
Yeah.
But we're starting to get into some of the spots where the boss scripting stuff we were talking about kind of goes a little brazy. There's 2 boss fights in the next 10-15 minutes that they just do what they do.
The next segment here is a little wacky, just kind of fast and loose. A little bit of on the fly reacting to how things go. These were segments that were all much more scripted in older versions, where we didn't have to worry about these boss fights going really off the rails. And now they're just kind of hope and pray at times. The trade-off is that the actual random encounter section here feels a lot less scary than it used to.
Aside from...
Yeah.
Okay. A little bit of a menu time. Not a big one. That was the menu.
Yeah. Again, it's very important though.
Yeah. For how small that seemed, there's a lot of stuff in there, especially the ward bangle being in there. I mean, for that one run I had, I didn't even need the ward bangle throughout the entirety of the floating continent because I needed levels, but still.
Yeah.
Oh no, it wasn't the PB, it was the run before the PB. Fun fact, the PB was also the world record for this. It got extremely lucky in the back half. Those things that we say we can't manipulate, just be lucky.
Yep. The current, your current PB is currently world record for this cat.
It's a 549. We theorize you can get it down to like what 520-ish?
Yeah.
That's being good at the early part. My early part isn't like that. We can still save like 13-ish minutes on the way to Atmo weapon, but then you also need to practice the back end and then also get lucky in the back end and then have it all come together in one run.
Yeah. Yeah, the extra stuff in the all characters Esper World run is one of the least practiced bits for most runners because it's never done in any other run this game. No other category does a lot of this stuff. So even for Super Nintendo, it's not practiced very much. And it's one of the things, like, I know in the older world record, when Puexel was the one running this category, his back half, his like World of Ruin, is absurdly optimized. It's so good. And like, I think a lot of us have struggled to reach that optimization for that segment.
Yeah, the only reason I beat it by a minute is because my front half is that much better.
Yeah, well, and that's because the part that we do in any percent, like, you guys especially have grinded so much for that percent world record race. So
one cool thing that they added here, though, you can menu before the first fight, and this is actually new. Okay, buttons.
The biggest thing Windless just mentioned, we can't manipulate the auction house. And we can't manipulate anything. But in Super Nintendo, we can manipulate the auction house, and it's very, very straightforward. In this version, we cannot. We're at the mercy of our enemy. And it's brutal.
Oh, she is on defend. Good.
Perfect.
So we leave that on for a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to complain about these first two fights.
Yeah, no, this is pretty ideal. So these can get messy. They're generally not very scary. They're just time delays. Terra's got more than enough health as long as she's full that she'll survive everything she needs to before casting Ramu. Even Propeller is not particularly bad. The orange ones, the Spitfires, are the ones that have the scary abilities. They've got Propeller, which hurts a lot physically, and then they've got Absolute Zero, which is a party-wide ice attack that does quite a bit of damage, and is a bit infamous in that it's a run killer in certain run of this category, or of this game, certain category. In this one, it's just a miss.
Terra is sure getting hit a lot.
Yeah, she is, and it's unfortunate because it means you do have to heal between fights. If those Magitech lasers are on like Edgar or even better Celis, you don't really have to heal between fights.
There we go. Now we're spreading the love a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Not that that's necessarily better.
No, but
This
I
has
mean
been
this
so
time.
kind.
Yeah, we don't complain about this. This is very good.
Must have miscounted. I thought this is where the text box pops up. Oh no, I already got through that apparently.
Yeah, you already did. It was the last one. This is 6, so you can do your last menu quick save.
Oh, she lived!
Oh my
Deathless!
goodness. That is impressive, actually. That's really impressive. So, unfortunately, we do have to heal here. If this was Super Nintendo, we wouldn't heal. But yeah, very important point here is you must quick save. The following boss fights, one of them is a bit weird, and the second one is actually very scary. And if you didn't quick save here and you die, you have to do the entire segment. So, for anyone who's running this game, make sure you quick save before this.
Swag glasses.
Oh yeah. Always Terra. Lovely. Mr. Typhon. He's not Mr. Chupon anymore.
I was very careful to remember I was on defend this time. So I'm just ATB waiting here so I don't lose my morph.
That trance gauge is very vital for not the coming boss fight, but the one after it. That one's pretty. It's a little bit weak. This one.
Do I get to play now? Thanks.
Probably not.
Honestly,
Concept
the
of this
scary
fight-
bit is the one on the right. He's the one who does the nasty things. The other stuff isn't as bad.
Edgar dying doesn't matter either, so that's actually a good fight. What the scary thing there is the battle can start and you just get atomic raid. And you used to get a heal between these two fights, and you don't in this version. So if you got beat up on Ultros 4 and you get atomic raid off the hop here, you just lose. Thankfully, it didn't happen.
Looks
Yeah.
like Celeste was the one who got hit.
That's unfortunate. I mean, it's fine for Gigantos, but it's unfortunate for the rest.
So Gigantos gives a stupid amount of experience. And we're gonna siphon it all to one character.
So this is the beginning of our focus on Celis as the carry for the later part of the game. We want
Edgar to go down, and we want Terra to also go down. If you don't unequip her shield here, she sometimes lives this fire that she casts on herself, and she needs to actually
That's the
again.
issue.
Yeah. So I mean, it's fine.
Now we're completely safe. I just didn't want him to die
you're-
from the damage ticks.
No, completely. So, poison ticks on Gigantos do a lot, as you're seeing. It's 750 a pop. So ultimately, Edgar's bio on Gigantos will cause him to just tick out eventually. So yeah, Celis didn't even get another chance to hit him. But that's good. We got several levels under Madwin, which is magic boost that she desperately needs. Now we cannot use Madwin anymore because Celis needs to actually be able to kill things, so we have to switch over to Katoblapas, which will allow us to petrify pretty much everything on the floating continent. Yeah, that quick save is really nice too because Gigantos is done, and you're preventing any really bad things. There's a certain random encounter we can get here that will basically instantly kill us.
This one?
It's that one. That's the one. So you have both people alive, thankfully.
Really? Yeah.
Yep. And you can run from them in this game. So you can't run from them in Super Nintendo, and scrolls in PR do far more damage than they did in Super Nintendo. And if you have one character alive, the damage doesn't split, so they take 900 damage, and you reload. So
Ah, poop. We'll deal with it.
that's unfortunate.
We will not deal with it.
No, you won't.
This is me now.
Yeah, this is life. So this is why it really pays to keep Celis vanished, coming out of Gigantos, because these things can't hit her.
Yeah, Smirk is physical. It doesn't look like
Yeah.
it should be.
No, but it is. Eventually we'll get to kill someone. Terra's where she needs to be. Terra's at 22.
Plus, they're gonna have to do a little.
Celeste's
extra
gonna have to
something.
do. Yeah, if you need to. So if you're way behind on levels, you can take off a word bang.
It's on.
Oh, it is off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely.
In case you wonder why I'm doing these quick saves, it's just it's
petrify that
because of
one.
ninjas.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You
So
cannot
ninjas have
petrify
a
him.
the dragon. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Good to know. Ninjas have a pretty low spawn rate in PR. But again, when they pop up, you just lose. So, but you can run. Yep. No run flags are gone. I thought you could petrify him, so that's news to me.
That's why we had to use the rods before, and it's annoying. Oh, well, this better hit.
The double behemoth is a really good fight. Ow. For experience, like it's extremely lucrative. That's good. Now you can just avoid.
Kind of fit it. It makes the elixir feel better.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely it does. Absolutely. So
Don't
this
go
is the
down.
one part. This is the one part where we do need to watch our MP because every cast of Katoblapas is 45, I think. So we only get a certain amount before we have to replenish. There's a lot of
know.
dragon. Yeah, this is your life. Dragon life. So we actually have 2 levels here. This has been a really awkward blocks. I think double behemoths are the biggest experience that you can get,
It's pretty juicy.
other than maybe the dragon. The dragon is. But yeah, that will help things quite a bit. This 4-pack.
Should put a Guy gear on, I would have got healed there. Can't smirk me, I'm already smirked. Sure. Thought I hit the button, but apparently I didn't. Full send. Oh, that's okay.
Okay. Okay. This
I don't
is why
like
we
brain
say
fans,
wow.
by the way.
No.
They always just smirk at the worst possible time.
Yeah. Unpleasant.
Fun fact, Revenge Blast is actually magical. So if you
It is.
have Phantom on, it'll do 0
You lose-
damage.
Yep. It's great.
Exploits. One of these things is gonna let me do what I want to do.
Oh man. So this is this is your reminder that why not equip the white cape? That's a good point. This is a reminder that if you can get out of Gigantos with Phantom on, or keep it on, keep it on after. You need to be careful because this thing. Okay.
That's all. We got our levels.
It uses 1,000 needles. Anyway, that was exactly as we wrote it up.
Yep. Wouldn't want it
So-
any different.
Nope. And now we have one of the most fun boss fights in the game. I can talk about this one because you need to focus. So
It's gonna be something.
I think your transmitter will be decent at least. So this fight is great. Atma, or Ultimate Weapon, is very scary. There's a whole bunch of really nasty attacks. Most of which will do massive amounts of damage. In other versions, we can abuse the AI script to avoid all of those things. In this version, he just kind of does what he wants. So you can do everything quote-unquote correct. Just get. That's the second time in a row I've seen him flare Edgar. That is impressive.
Unfortunately.
You're not gonna get the third one. It's really close too. That sucks. But yeah, ultimately you need three ice rods, or any kind of rod really, on Atma Weapon, Ultimate Weapon, with a Trance Terra to kill, along with a little bit of supplemental damage. Otherwise, it takes either another rod, we have a ton of Thunder Rods, so we can blow one of those here, or a few extra biocasts from Celis, just to whittle down the remaining 1,000. That fight was great.
That floating continent was only 1 minute slower than that one where I died and had to redo the whole thing.
Yeah. There were, I mean, you got extremely unlucky on the battles. And
It was good until it wasn't anymore.
Yeah, and the fights themselves, the ones you could take, were fine, and the boss was good. So that's a common recip as well, is that boss fight.
But he can use Blaze, which doesn't care about Reflect, and it hurts pretty hard. He can use Quake, which doesn't care about Reflect, and it hits pretty hard. He can use Meteo, which doesn't care about your magic defense, and it hits it pretty hard, and it doesn't care about Reflect. So the fact that he used the one thing that we do put Reflect on, and he did it on the person who has the Reflect ring on, is kind of lucky.
It's magical. He can use an ability called Mind Blast. That one's fun. Which causes all sorts of stupid status effects. I believe... What is it? Zombie? Petrify? A couple of other things? I don't know. It's really gross. And if you see it, you can just lose instantly. So avoiding all the drama there is really, really good. I know a lot of runs that have lost 5+ minutes just to that fight because they've had to reset on it 3 times.
Especially after you spend a whole bunch of time trying to damage control it.
Yeah. And if you come in with enough transmitter there, Terra gets all 3 rods under